Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle. This is episode 17, and tonight we've got a great episode, an interesting story. We have a female Russian grower. We're gonna hear about her stories. I mean, she has so many interesting aspects of her life as far as her journey is being a grower, trimmer, technician, writer, journalist. I'm sure she has a lot of cool things to tell us as well as a cool story. So if you would, let's get this started and let's introduce Sonia. Wait, what? How you doing tonight? Can you
Hi.
how you doing? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and first of all where they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. I don't think I've ever talked on a podcast in English before, which is very fascinating for me. You can find me on Instagram, and my handle is sonyawaitwhat, one word. Wait what because my last name is kind of unpronounceable, and I gave up on telling people how it sounds. Yeah, so that is my main form of communication with anyone who wants to talk to me. And I do not use any other social networks, so you're welcome to text me there.
Nice, nice.
Mhm.
So let's tell me a little bit about yourself. It sounds like you've had an incredible journey. You're a Russian native, correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Nice.
Let me start from the beginning. I actually was born in 1991, which is pretty cool because my passport, my Russian passport, still says USSR as a country of birth. But I remember nothing about that. But I am the USSR baby. I was born in Siberia in the city of Irkutsk, which is near Lake Baikal, the deepest lake in the world. It's a pretty mountainy area. It's very beautiful there, and that is probably the most thing I miss about my home. And yeah, I was born and raised there, and my parents are doctors, which did affect my life for sure. And when I was studying in middle school and high school, I always tended to be either a literature nerd or a biology nerd. And I think that when the time for graduation came, I really didn't know what to do because I was really good in writing and talking, and I loved reading and I loved books and so on. But I also was really good with working with plants in the biology class. But what made a difference, and I think it's pretty funny looking back at that, is how teachers approached teaching in general. My biology teacher was not very engaging. She was not very open and communicative, whilst my literature and Russian language teacher was very interested in me in particular and other students. So of course I was like more emotional about books than about plants. So I ended up on the in the journalism department with a minor in European literature actually because I was that girl. I was the girl who read a lot of, Jane Austen and Virginia Woolf, even though that's yeah, and all of that. So I did that for 5 years. I've been studying. I got my master's degree in theory of communication and media philosophy. What I was working with is the philosophical approach to how we share information, especially like in the age of media, internet, and so on. So nothing whatsoever ever in my life suggested that I will end up in the cannabis industry, even after I moved here, because originally I came here to study, and then I got married, and then I started to work a little bit, and I still work as a journalist and so on. And it was very hard for me and challenging because at that time back in Russia, um, a lot of things were happening. So I moved before Crimea was occupied and then um, taken by Russia. I came here before like a lot of events happened, and at the same time, I started to develop this very feministic Russian narrative. Like I was having my own blog. I was going on a talk, like I had a TED talk about that and so on. And then eventually it hit me that I don't want to do that anymore. And the reason for that was there were like many reasons, but that particular one that like changed everything was that I wanted to work with my hands. I didn't want to sit with a laptop anymore. And I found a job in PSI Labs, and the job actually originally was just a customer service, so I was on the phone, which also was really funny because I had a heavier accent. My grammar was, I mean, it's still not perfect, but it was even worse then. And I still was able to handle conversations and take samples in and so on. And then Psy Labs just started, not just started, but we still were small, so they needed help at the back end, and I started to be a person who was responsible for visual analysis of the bots that were coming in and of every sample. So my job was is to sit with a microscope and check 200 samples a day for mold, mildew, any infestation, foreign materials, and so on. So many pictures that people saw from PsyLabs, from the results that they received on their samples, were probably taken by me, like back in that time. So yeah. Do you have any questions so far?
So how many so how bad were the samples coming in, I guess, at that point where with molds? I would say how many what was the
Oh,
percentage of bad samples coming in?
I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, and it actually I wouldn't say that it would make me sick, but some bots would look like they were trimmed by a dog. They were like hairy, dirty. I don't know what people were doing with them. This, and of course, Michigan in general is very prone for powdery mildew. We have a lot of issues with that because of our climate, and as soon as like the winter comes, the winter is wet, we're all starting to develop that, and the summer comes, the thrips and the mites become active and so on. So it is pretty hard in general, in my opinion, for Michigan grower to keep their crops sanitary and hygienic. And many samples that would come would be horrible, including those that we would test for high times cup or something like that. And it would always amaze me, why would you want to bring a bud from a garden that you know have PM in there? Because if you have powdery mildew on the bud, you most certainly have it on the foliage as well, you know.
Well, I would say in some cases, not if you're going to bring it to high times, I would hope that you would know what you were doing before you'd even step to a high times platform. But in the
Exactly.
other cases, I would think maybe it was more excuse me, negligible growers that weren't quite knowledgeable in spotting the PM, and they were just
Hmm.
bringing it in to test to see if it did have it because they were unsure of what they were seeing. I think that may have been a little bit of it, but no justification on that.
Oh
So,
yeah, of course.
uh,
It's always a little bit of a doubt about how it ended up there, and sometimes people really do not notice. Even knowledgeable growers would just miss something, especially if something comes for the first time. Sometimes it just take a while to just even see that the problem is present, and that's why I can give an advice that I would be giving my grow techs with whom I work right now. And this is, if you can afford it, like I worked in a licensed facility right now, so it's different. But if you're still a caregiver, get a microscope. Doesn't matter. There are like $130 on Amazon, very small with like a small screen and so on. And do it yourself, because you do not want to bring in the bud to the lab or to dispensary, provisioning center, sorry, not dispensary anymore, and be turned down and not know what to do with this product anymore. So start early, start checking early, every day, 20 minutes a day. walk around the garden. If the lights are off, like use a green light or anything. Look at the leafage. Look if airflow is fine, and so on. Just do it constantly, and I can guarantee that the quality of the product would go up just because you're being vigilant. You're keeping an eye on it instead of just like letting it slide till the end. Or if you see a little spot of PM, you assume that the room is already contaminated and the powdery mildew is already colonizing your plants. So you have to start and treat it instantly.
Well, with that being said, do you have any methods of treating it? Uh,
Yeah.
you seem
Um,
pretty knowledgeable on the subject, so I think you must have some tips for the cure. Uh,
Funnily enough, when I was a kid, my grandparents, who were scientists by day, also had a small farm. And that's the first time I was introduced to powdery mildew. And what they did, they made a mix of, and like, this is not an advice, don't do that. But what they did, they made a mix of soap, of hard soap, like castile soap or something, and baking soda, and they would spray the leafage and then spray it with water, and that's how they would treat it. So that is the first time I learned about that. But of course, it's like it's very old school Soviet Russia style. What I use usually when I see like the spotting of PM just starting to occur is Banish. I don't know if you allow like the names of the products on your podcast, because I'm not advertising. No one is paying me for that. But Banish
oh,
is
please
something.
go ahead.
Yeah, and with Banish, I would suggest pH in your water. And first of all, the water that you spray in your plants with should be reverse osmosis or filtered water. It should be warm enough for plants not to get stressed by this. So I'm not saying like 90 degrees, but kind of the room temperature, and pH it to 12. So that seemed to work, especially when you just see the spottings, because what Banish actually is, it's an oil, and it kind of kills and washes it off. But if the stuff gets worse, I would suggest using enzymes. And there are many different brands of enzymes on the market, but I know that right now, especially when Michigan is moving towards REC and MED and licensed industry in general, there are more and more restrictions on what you can use on that. And yeah, that is, enzymes are always fine till the last day before harvest. It should be okay. They are not harmful. And if you're choosing something, what I would do is always check if it can be approved for food crops. If it's okay on food, it's fine on cannabis too.
That's very, very good advice. Now, I heard you mention like hard soap that your parents use, hard soap and baking soda. That's got to be pretty similar to soap nuts, correct? That you see on the
Mhm.
market, like an ivory
Yeah,
soap, soap nuts. So,
yeah.
is there
So
any negative effects to using soap nuts? Because I heard you say you weren't suggesting that it was old school, but I know a few people that do know use the soap nuts. So, is there some negative effects to using the soap nuts on cannabis?
I personally, when I said that I'm not giving an advice, it's because I know pretty much nothing about soap and cannabis. I never use soap nuts on cannabis myself. So I don't know, and I would assume that it's fine because they used it on tomatoes. So should be fine. I don't know. Yeah, like I'm going, probably you're going to ask me some questions, and I would say I don't know because I don't want to mislead or misinform anyone. There are things that are not my expertise for sure.
No problem. I respect that. So, when you're working in the lab, what were some of the highest THCs? And I am a firm advocate that the higher THC levels don't indicate necessarily the quality of the effects of the bud. I believe more of the terpene and the entourage effect, but I'm just curious on what are the some of the highest THC content that you've seen while you were in the lab,
I'm trying to
as far
remember.
as flower.
Flour, I think it was around 33 to 35, which was crazy, and everyone like went to look at that and just like that is insane. There were many buts in high 20s. The high 20s is okay, and it's also interesting that I was working in the lab in the this period of like Michigan cannabis industry when it was developing so fast. And when I just started to work, like 17 to 22 was kind of the norm, and then like 6 months later it's already like upper 20s, and like 17 and 22 is already like could be better, you know. But there are some bots that would be in 30s, like 33, 32, and so on. But yes, you mentioned that because I already talked to you about that. I do not believe in high potency as the qualifier of a good bot in general. Yeah,
I'm a
because
firm believer in that as well. Can you tell me about what your thoughts on that and how our terpenes can more influence more of an influence on THC and the whole effect versus just the THC in your opinion?
in my opinion, we still have such a long way to go in the matter of discovering how terpenes affect human body and human experience and how they interact with THC, CBD, and any other cannabinoids. There are what, like 70 of them? I'm not even sure right now, right? But I think that what we do when we start paying attention to the number, to the potency, what happens in that we start kind of a race. And this is not a race, this is the experience, this is a wellness practice, and you're supposed to look at how you feel experiencing a particular cannabis strain, right? So, yes, you can smoke a strain with 29% THC and you're going to be stoned as fuck. Is it going to do any good for you in this particular situation? Or do you want to enjoy, let's say, 14, 16% THC with beautiful terpene content, which smells nice, which smokes nice, which doesn't glue you to the couch, and you're actually keep living through this period of you being high, and you have other experiences with your product outside of just being high or stoned. You know, that's where I'm coming from when I say that I do believe in terpenes, because also terpenes are found all over the place, right? Bees have terpenes, like some insects actually produce terpenes the same as the flower would, right? And we know already so much about aromatherapy. We know so much about like how to use essential oils. And I'm personally not the person who does it, but I do understand that the knowledge is out there. So why wouldn't you incorporate something safe and pleasant into your experience instead of running after high THC content? It's the same. It's like how moonshine came into America. It was during the prohibition, right? Because you want to pack as much of potency into a smaller vessel. That I feel that what happened with cannabis too. And now, you know, prohibition is over. We have wines, we have ciders, we have cocktails, and so on. You don't need to get fucked up for cheaper and for like with smaller amount. You can actually make it a valuable experience, a part of your life. And I think that terpenes are essential in this. And if we're moving towards talking about health benefits, also, first of all, no one knows, because no one knows how they interact with one another as with THC. But secondly, I think that it's time to start looking into that. And I know there are labs in Oregon. Uh, I don't remember the name. I'm so sorry, but yeah, I read like this research that they start doing that just to see how terpenes can affect our well-being,
I agree.
like 100%.
I know that when I smoke flower that's super high in THC, I prefer myself lower around the 20% range and something that is has more terpenes in it. When I'm smoking something that's over 30% THC, it usually gives me anxiety. I'm just like, it's not one of the better smokes. I'd rather just, take it down and have it be more of a flavorful experience, like you just said. What I'm kind of interested in knowing is your thoughts on like say extracts and artists mixing terpenes in both cannabis derived and non-cannabis derived. Your thoughts on it, that, and your thoughts on adding, basically non-cannabis derived terpenes. I know chemically they're basically the same as if they're derived from a plant, but they can also be mocked, artificially, I guess.
Mhm.
So your thoughts on all of them, A, B, and C, possibly being mixed in with extracts.
I know nothing about potential harm of that, except, of course, if we were talking about tested product from a qualified licensed facility or extractor who has like good practices and so on. I don't think it's a bad thing on its own, especially when it comes to the pricing and you do want to enhance experience, but keep the price low instead of like getting the bud just right, because as we all know, to develop the good bud, especially when you have a particular qualities that you want to get out of your plant, it's a lot of work. If you want to do that and provide people with safe product with terpenes being from a different plant, good. On the other hand, why would you do that if you have so much opportunities in cannabis world to produce such a good product without using extra terpenes or in general like any additives? I think that the lesser steps are taken, the better in general. But again, i I wouldn't say that it's necessarily the evil of our our industry. It's not. Yeah.
Nice. So while we're talking about extraction, your thoughts on people taking that bad cannabis and taking it to the distractor, which seems to be a big thing right now in Michigan. People that are afraid of taking their stuff in for testing because they know it has PM on it or whatever. So they're taking it to the extractor and leaving it to the extractor to try to separate that stuff chemically. Seems to be what has is going on here currently in the extract market. Is that's where the stuff is going that people. So your thoughts on, is it actually capable of filtering that stuff out in the extraction process? I know they say they can separate heavy metals and stuff like that, but and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth knowing that they were there to begin with. So is the extraction process actually that thorough? And are you seeing a lot of contaminants in the extract market?
That is such a good question. I love it. And it's interesting because I emotionally 100% with you. Just like you talk about it, just like it tastes differently when you know that it might be from a plant that had like PM or mites on it, like in our head. However, haven't seen one sample of extraction with powdery mildew on that. Seeing foreign materials, seeing high residuals like heavy metals or acetone sometimes and so on. Never seen the contamination with bugs or mold or PM. So I would say that in this case, yes, we can trust it. And yes, sometimes and pretty often, let's be fair, we do dump the product, not we, but like in our industry in Michigan, people would be dumping the product that is not good quality into extraction facilities. It's it's a way to make money back, and it's definitely not unsafe if the extractors are using ethical techniques and they're using the chemicals that are not leaving residuals or so on. So it's okay. it's not the best. I personally love the flower. Like everything else for me right now, as I know it, it's not something that I usually go for. I love the plant. I love biology. I love the plant. So yeah.
I agree too. I agree 100%. It just, knowing it was there just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And again, I guess they're not advertising the fact that it was ever in there when they're passing it to you.
Oh, you
But
never
I
know.
know that a lot of
But you
places
never
are,
know if the bud is the same. You never know because like sometimes people would be like given the bud for testing that would test negative for any PM or pests whatsoever, but they know damn sure that their crop had some PM and it might end up on some of the buds, just not the ones that were tested. That because like it's the whole batch, so you will never be 100% sure if you're not the one who grew it. And I think that more or less it's okay. That's why we have practices here in Michigan and across the country of testing, of relying on certification and so on. I think overall that is like one of the good things of what's going on right now in Michigan in particular. And yeah, talking about how it tastes, you know damn well that the product that you grew tastes the best. And yeah, because you've seen it.
well, I don't think it's, it tastes good because you know what you put in it and you've done a great job, but it's always just that too. It's always that, you won the end of a goal,
Mhm.
the taste of a job well done. I think that has a lot to do with that feeling that it's the
Absolutely.
best. It could be good, but knowing you did it yourself and it's an accomplished goal, it makes it all the more better. So let's talk terpenes. I know that's you told me that's one of your interests as well. What are the different and main terpenes in cannabis, and which ones are your favorite?
Okay, let me open up the table so um, we can navigate them one by one. Okay. And my favorite one, I'll tell you right away. I just want to make sure. The thing with me and Latin names that like come from Latin words and so on, we have them in Russia too, and I really bad in pronouncing them sometimes. So yeah, my favorite one personally is linalool. That's the same one that comes from lavender too. Although like, but that contains linalool would never doesn't necessarily smell like lavender, right? But I do like it because it just very relaxing, very beautiful smell. Pinene, another one. It comes in the strains that are earthy, that are like piney kind of. That's like example of that would be Headmaster Kush, right? That's another one that I like too because that is the one that it's a little bit old school, but it's also like makes it familiar, and this is like the experience that people do look for sometimes, right? And those probably two of my favorite ones. And yeah,
That was
um,
Headmaster Kush. You pointed out for Alpha Piney or A Piney,
yeah, I
because
think that
that one. That's the one currently is my favorite, and that's the one I'm chasing. So if you've got a good lead on that name, I'm already writing it down on something that I may want to
okay,
explore.
we'll talk later about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to take note of that. Thank
oh
you.
no, 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 that's okay. I'm just making a joke. So that is definitely something that I like. I also always liked to the smell and the taste of sour diesel that has a lot of limonene in there. I don't know if I say it right again whatsoever, but it's a beach to grow. So I wouldn't say that it's my ultimate favorite for sure, but yeah, that's what it is. Whew.
I know. How do you? I guess while we're on lemonine, excuse me. Uh, how do you feel about like introducing that in an artificial way to the plant? Because there are products out there like Turbinator that you can feed to your
Oh yeah.
plant that bring out that limonene, and it brings it out in a big way, almost too much. It if you use it with multi strains, then it kind of almost blends them together a little bit. But what's your thoughts on like trying to bring someone? I'm jumping ahead of myself. I was going to ask that
No, no,
later,
no,
but
it's okay.
you're on that
I
one. So.
think my main question is why would you do that? Like what is such a necessity for you to introduce something that's already there, and what makes your plant unique? Just because
Oh,
you want to sell it for more, or like why do you do that? That's the thing that I a little bit struggle with, maybe even ethically, or just because I do love plants in general. Just like it's already there, and we're not here only for money. So in my opinion, I personally would never do that because I never done it. I've seen the products, and I'm just like interested, why though? And I don't know, in general, like talking about any additives, any chemicals, any even like organic nutrients and so on. My rule of thumb would be to use the products that are already used in horticulture in different industry, like in different on different crops, not only on cannabis, because many of the products that you're describing would be aiming for growers in particular, and this is not exactly the market that, excuse me, the market that I would be trusting much in general. So I don't know. If you want to, please. If it's a, like if some again, it's like that's the beautiful thing about growing. It can be very different. Everyone is growing very uniquely, and it's funny to talk with other growers, and I would be saying like, well, I love oxycloners, and people would be just like, no, this shit, it's bad. I like rock wool. I hate rock wool, but everyone is getting great results. So do you? I but I personally still asking, why would you do that? You know?
oh, I agree 100%. I believe somebody would add it just because of to increase that level. Maybe they're an extract artist and they want, but I wouldn't personally. I don't like the thoughts of using it because I grow on multi strains, and hey, I'm looking for independent flavors, so why would I want to blend them all together?
Exactly.
And B, my answer to that, if I'm looking with it, if the strain I'm looking into doesn't have enough limonene of its own in it, then I just may need to just change the strain altogether instead of trying to add something to it. Obviously, it's not the one, so in my
Mhm.
opinion, it'd be better just to move on. So I agree
And that is,
100% on that.
yeah, that's the beauty with cannabis strains. There are so many, and seeds are available, and seedling is fun, and people do share cuts with one another too, and see what happens after that. And yeah, it's fun. That is like trying to affect your terpenoid profile of your plant on your own is actually fun. It's a fun activity, instead of introducing anything extra. It's like it's already there. It's already like kind of a puzzle for you, you know?
Well, there's other ways to bring it out without adding things like, stressing the plant and maybe
Mhm.
just going in with a lower nitrogen level and, just the soil in
People do
itself. Maybe if you're
all
not
sorts
happy
of
with the
stuff.
strain, maybe.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh no, no, you're the guest here. I want to hear your
People,
opinion. These
people
people
do
hear me jabber every night.
people do stress plans for these purposes, and I actually think that it it may be for best, because I do drop CO2 levels by the end of the harvest, for instance. And that is, by the way, I don't know if people know it, but it's like more of a fun fact. When people say that plant grown outdoors would be like better tasting and better smelling. It actually has like a real science behind it. And the science is that outdoor plants receive more UV light, and they need to protect themselves from more UV light. And what they do, they produce resin, and resin is very smelly. It tastes good, right? So that's why we all laugh when, the time of the year comes around when people start harvesting their outdoor crops, and everyone is super excited about them because they're different, and they're different for this particular reason, because the plant is not nourished in hygienic, sanitized environment, because it's living its own life in, and it usually, not usually, but sometimes more um, organisms are introduced to the soil in which it's grown, right? So the soil becomes living soil. So it's all different. And like you're right, because of stressing the plant and letting the plant to build their immune mechanisms, we can receive different results. Sometimes worse, because we've all seen this story happening, how something went wrong and then we have small buds and a lot of seeds and everyone is devastated. But also sometimes it is for better, like drought, like as you said, like drop in nitrogen levels or CO2 and so on. So yeah, I would definitely look into that when, but I would say if you're just starting growing, just stick with your textbook for a little bit, because it does take a good eye to start noticing things like that for sure, and like see what would be better, what would be worse, and so on.
I was aware of the UV increasing the terps. I just don't like the idea of bringing it indoors into my environment. You know, it's bad for my eyes. It's bad for my skin. So uh, I'm doing a good job as it's on my own. I just don't feel like taking the risk of bringing it into my gardens worth the overall end. And
I
there's a lot of
agree.
light companies out there that are trying to get you to introduce it, and I don't understand. You know, we have to work under that stuff. We have to go into the room. We know it's bad. Why are we
Mhm.
trying to reintroduce it into our gardens?
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the lights, especially old school lights like halide lights, they do have a very, very small amount of UV light spectrum. So your plants are not 100% deprived from UV light, so you're good. Yeah, I agree with you. Why would you do that? But yeah.
Nice. So feel free to move on. Would you like to move on to the next phase of their life? I mean, I think we've covered lab work pretty
Yeah.
well. I mean, it's your journey. You can take it wherever you want. I mean, it's an incredible story so far. So don't let me interrupt. I'm just saying, I don't want to have to keep you on a subject that, on one
Yeah.
subject if you want me to move on.
Well,
So
to continue my
keep,
story, it would be like that. I worked in the lab, and then I worked as a trim manager, and that happened because I was a trimmer first. So I trimmed, and then it turned out that I am a trim machine. So I did it so fast and so good that like people started to respect me for this particular thing. But yeah, that's how I started actually, and then like on the growing side. And for a long time, I was not um, worried about growing itself. I was just a trimmer who would come with the team and trim. And I think that if you want, would try to go through like harvesting process and trimming and tell you what
uh,
my
that'd be
rules are.
great. I'm sure everybody here would love to hear some harvesting tips and which way you prefer, wet or dry, and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, take it away.
I
Tell us all about
prefer
it.
I prefer dry, but we will get there. Um, Talking about harvest, that is something that I also was doing for some time, and I know that many people do cure the plant in 60-60 conditions. What I mean by that, 60% relative humidity, 60%, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and they keep it like that. I actually found out recently that 55 relative humidity and 72 degrees is something that works way better for me. And what we started to do is like we harvest, we put it on the lines. Uh, the plant sits there, and of course it shrinks because the moisture goes out of it. And then you kind of consolidate it a little bit. You move the buds closer to one another, not like all together, but by strain, of course, or by plant, whatever you prefer, right? And then it does take longer than 60-60. It's probably like 10 to 14 days. And then it should sit in closed containers to rate a little bit. Yep. And then after that, we would start trimming, and we do dry trim, and there are multiple reasons for that. Um, the first one, that, in my opinion, the bud smells better after dry trim. And that is something that I didn't believe for a long time, but then I just like, just for lulz, tried and trimmed some but wet and then dried it and compared it. Definitely when you cure it properly, it does brings up all the aroma, all the smell. It becomes like more pungent and so on. So that's why dry trim is the way to go, in my opinion. And another reason is that because it can take longer, and it's fine. When you're trimming wet, it means that you have only this amount of time to go through your crop, right? When the bud is dry, you can, especially when you have cycles and you have to navigate your timelines, it's better to have this like room for, variety in a matter of time, so you can move it like day before, day after. It cannot happen with wet trim. So that's why I just like, it makes more sense to me. And people that I trained use Fiskars trimmers for a long time. That was like the way to go, and everyone loved them, even though they are not very durable, in my opinion. They like the, how do you call it, the spiral thing? How do you call it? The spring. Yes, got it.
Spring.
Sometimes I don't remember the words. Yep. The spring would break or something like that. But once someone brought these um, pruners made by a Japanese brand called Chikamasa. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And everyone lost their minds over Chikamasas, which is interesting. I still prefer Fiskars myself, but I'm not trimming that much anymore. So we got Chikamasas for guys, and Chikamasas do not have a spring, but they're like very easy to open and close. And people say that they don't have this like wrist pains after like trimming excessively for like days and days using these Chikamasas. Chikamasas, it's
They're the
like,
big like loop handle, right? They have a
yes,
big loop on the back
yeah.
end.
I'm going to
Yeah, those.
the name in the, no, it's not the name. Chika, like this, Chikamasa. That's the one. So in the chat later, you can look at that, and maybe again, it's not a promotion of a brand for sure. That is just something that people started to prefer, and they are really, I like them in the garden. I like them as pruners for sure. So yeah, that's what we trimmed with, and usually I try to show people the technique, whatever worked for me, explain like the main thing that helps people speeding up, for instance, is this idea that you rotate the bud, not the scissors. And what I mean by that, so people would be trimming and they would like do this with the trimmers. Instead of that, trimmers should like work in one hand and you start rotating the bud. The speed goes up instantly with that. So I show people everything I know, how I do that, and so on and so forth. I tell them how it's supposed to look. I always tell, like, imagine that you see this bud in the provision and center, and you must want this bud. You must look at that, and it's trimmed beautifully. So do that. Takes a while, and but then I have trimmers who are so fast and so good, and I love them so much. They're like come in, by the end of the day they have like 2 pounds trimmed, and it's perfect. Love it. So yeah, dry trim, chicken masses now, a lot of like sanitizing in between, and in the end of the trim cycle, I usually see that down with all myself and lubricate if needed and wash them and make sure that they're in a good condition and good to go for the next round.
What can you suggest lubricating with? It's like kind of food safe, or what, won't safe to get on the buds and isn't something that might be bacterial.
People do coconut oil. I know that, and I'm definitely not opposed to that. I think that if you want to be 100% safe with that, coconut oil works great. I am not that good with that now. I think about it because I just use the thing. It's like the bottle that you can buy in Home Depot, and that is to lubricate like keys, not keys, locks, and like door, whatever.
Graphite?
Yeah, but then I always also sanitize them with alcohol because you need this stuff on your screw. You don't need it all over it. So I put it on the screw and then like I get it in and then I sanitize that around the screw. Yep. So
Good tips.
mhm. And people do so many different things. Some of them would stick the scissors into a sponge with alcohol, like soaked in alcohol. Some people use like just put it in alcohol and so on. The good tip for screws, if you use anything, actually, Chikamas also has screws. Why did I say it? Is not to cover the screw with the alcohol. So if you put it inside the cup, it should like have enough alcohol to cover the blades, but not to go up to the screw. Because this way you do strip it from lubricant so much faster and it becomes so much harder too. And with Swiss cars, I don't know how many people know about that, but with Swiss cars, when I start the new pair, I always make the screw a little bit looser. Not all the way, not like super loose, because like the looser it gets, the wider the gap between the blades, just a little bit, and it eases up the in general the tension, so it becomes easier to trim.
Yeah, those spring-loaded scissors can really get to your wrist after a while, especially some different companies. I've worked with some that spring's definitely it's not even a spring, it's more like a coiled up metal piece. And them ones can work your wrist a little bit. I know
Mm-hmm.
myself, and again, I'm not a paid advertisement. I like the Diamond Cut Co. Company. They offer they're just like a trimming company for cannabis, and they offer a bunch of scissors. I like their brands. I'm actually kind of dragged my feet on trimming today because they just had a new shear come out, like a 6.5 spring loaded with like a thumb guard on it. Nice. I was hoping to get them today, but I did not receive them. So that no part on there. It would have been early, but I
Whatever
definitely
works.
love new scissors. And I ordered a pair just like you were talking about, the gold ones with the big loop on the back to see. I've never used those myself, and I'm interested. I've heard nothing but good things about them, and I'm
Again, I
interested in
personally
seeing the
don't like them
comparison.
for trimming, but people do that all the time. And when I just try them, when someone introduced them to me, I'm just like, oh, that's not going to work out. And then like people started to compete for them because there were like just a couple of them and they all wanted to trim with chicamasas. And I was just like, okay, if it works for you, it works for you. That's the rule that in general I have as a manager. I don't care how you do it. If it works for you and we have the result, whatever. I had a person who trimmed with like these small trimmers. They're like this big and it looked like a stapler almost. So I don't know. Whatever works. Whatever works. I never seen a good trimming
So
machine though.
no.
Mm.
So what kind of do you still do the trim work as a trim manager? Is that
I
something you
did
still do?
train people at the license facility that I work for the harvest for sure. But I had another person who also was an extremely experienced streamer, and he also was handling that. So right now, it's definitely not something that I do, but it's definitely something where I started. And in the beginning, it was cash gig for sure. It was like for me to, to make a little bit extra money and so on. And then, as I told you, I wasn't like that interested into growing. Uh, but then it just kind of, it happened kind of in an instant when I'm just like, okay, I want to do that now too. And then I started doing that, and that's all I want to do now. Nursery is my favorite thing.
If you had a love for plants to begin with and growing them, it's something that transfers over quite easily. And the cannabis
Absolutely.
plant is one of those things that's very gratifying in just so many ways. It's a fun plant to grow.
It
So
is very fun.
before I guess before we get into the growing aspect, and I know for some reason you've got a bunch of great tips for everybody in that aspect of the interview as well. But can you tell us a little bit about when you actually started using the plant, and did you use it for like a recreational use, or did maybe did you take it on for a medical use,
Well,
or do you
uh,
even use it all?
I actually never was quite a connoisseur. Even if I started learning about the plant, I wasn't very much into consuming the plant in general. How I mean, I tried here and there, but that was not my interest. And only maybe in this year was the year when I actually started to explore. And the reason for that, kind of, it's not very comfortable for me to talk about it, but I think that it might be useful for many people. I was trying to drink less because I realized that there are other ways to reduce anxiety and stress for me. So I moved towards the bud, and that's what I love doing right now. My favorite thing in the world is a huge board of healthy snacks, and I mean like carrots and edamame and all of that. I'm that person, and just like a joint and just like sit and munch on fiber and actually watch something good for myself. And that is what I like to do. But I also do struggle with anxiety, and my sleeping cycles are not the best, and sometimes it's definitely messing with my life in general. So I can say that it affects my cognitive abilities. It affects my work in general, and so on. So that's where I started to incorporate heavy indicas as well, and that also helped me very much. And finally, menstrual cramps. Oh, that's the best. Love it. Yep. And now, just today, I talked to my grandmother, and my granddad is suffering from cancer. And I didn't tell it to her because she's an old Russian lady. But in my head, I'm just like, oh, he's in Russia. Otherwise, I would definitely provide him with the information and the opportunity to incorporate cannabis into his treatment, because he's going through a lot of like pain and a lot of discomfort. But we cannot do it there. But I definitely would.
It's very is it very taboo in Russia, the use of cannabis?
Nothing is taboo in Russia. Let's start from that. No, um, yes, it is definitely a drug considered to be a illegal drug that ruins life and so on. And that is the problem that I know for sure that American society had for a long time too, but in Russia, it's a lot to do with lack of knowledge. So for people like cannabis would be the same as opioids, like kind of the same category. And no one ever heard of like cannabis not being that bad. They just heard that somewhere in Amsterdam they're allowed for some reason, but also it brings like out laziness and sluggishness and like all these bad things. And also it's a getaway drug. So like normal thing that like happened in America, as we all know, in 30s with Narcotics Bureau. It traveled all around the world, and even though we did not have these problems that American federal agency used as promoting like anti-cannabis um, campaigns, we still like picked it from America and started to use it as an approach, you know. So, and my dad told me that when used to be a kid, they just had hemp growing on the backyard that they used for like, I don't even remember what, but of course, like hemp is not psychoactive, but they did have it and it was fine. But then it's not anymore, you know?
It's a shame because there's so many uses for the plant that we're not utilizing world round, and it could replace a lot of plastics and other things that we use. Could be naturally derived from the hemp product and
Oh, yeah. I
the
think that
cannabis
hemp
plant
can
in
have
general.
a huge impact on industries in general because it's the same as bamboo. I think those two plants can actually lead the world to better sustainability practices, you know, because it grows fast, it can do so much. It can be ropes, it can be medicine. It just why not? Why not? Because we
Well,
do
let's
have
talk to the. I couldn't think of a better person to ask this, and it was used. Well, I've always heard it was used in around the Chernobyl site to clean up the ground there. Is there any truth to that? And if so, how come we're not
not be
utilizing the
surprised.
plant to?
I never heard of that, to be honest with you. What the only thing that I heard is that they had to like lift the layer of soil and remove it from the fallout zone. But maybe it's true as well. Unfortunately, I don't know, but I will definitely look into that later.
Nice. And that's what I've always heard for a long time. And it's
Mhm.
they say it's because the plant does take up heavy metals. So I don't know what you would do. It seemed like you'd have just an equal of a problem with the plant. You know what I mean? There's still material there. It up took it from the ground, and it might make the ground a little bit better. But then again,
Yeah, for
now you
sure.
have a nasty material that you'd have to deal with. But
Yeah.
it seems like it would be a good use to use in terrible spots. I know here in the USA we have quite a few spots from like the 50s and 60s where they dump dioxin and shit all over the roads, and so there's a lot of areas here that could use some type of cleansing, and if cannabis or hemp could do that, it'd be great. But again, I'm struck with what do you do with the byproduct? It seems like you have an unnatural byproduct that you'd have to bury, burn, or something. And again,
Mhm.
just seems like you're reintroducing it back into the environment in a different way. But I guess that's
For
a
sure.
whole nother story. Thought you
It's
you
whole
can
another story and can be
put
used
your
in so
thoughts on
many
that
ways.
too.
Hmm. Like clothing, food, whatever. Like I even heard fuel, but I'm not sure. That is something that I cannot like vouch on. But I think that hemp can be used as an alternative energy source as well. So all of that is just fantastic and nice, and I'm looking forward for the world to catch up with that as well because it's very much needed, in my opinion. Yep. And by the way, fun fact: cannabis ruderalis hemp comes from Siberia. It's an original Siberian plant. Yeah.
Well, that's yeah, the autoflower comes from Russia. Yes, gross. That is a fun fact. I enjoy that.
Hmm.
So I forgot where we left off in the story here. I'm sorry. You want to tell us about your grow? Do you want to take off into your growing experience and maybe some tips there?
Um, yeah, absolutely. Let me think for a second. Where should I start? Well, again, my favorite, as I already told you, my favorite thing to do is to nourish and tend to baby plants. And I know I like the plant all the way through. I like the blooming gardens too. I like the smell, I like being there and so on. But for some reason, something so tender about them being in veg that that is my favorite thing. I love cloning. I love.
So now I just remember where we left off, and that was I did because I don't want to leave a story left untold. And that we were talking about how you got to your cannabis use, and we were talking about if it was taboo in Russia. is where we left off
Oh yeah.
before I so rudely interjected. Uh, Sorry about that. Then we'll get to the growth. I just want to pick up and I hate to leave a
Okay, well,
story
that's it. That's
untold.
pretty much the whole story. I know people in Russia who would be smoking and they would show me the product when like I was not a teenager, but in like in college. But I was like this person who doesn't do anything bad and so on. So and I looked at that and it basically was just Kiev. And as when I asked them, I'm just like, what is that? What they told me is that this is kind of a byproduct that is like the scrapes that like coming from like Mongolia and China, and that's what they do to like to get high. And now I just look back on that and I'm just like, oh, it's gonna taste horrible, guys. Anyways, before I actually came to America, I was sure that people smoked the leaf and not the flower. That was like kind of my understanding of cannabis. So it was like an absolute zero because I knew nothing. And then when I was studying here in the United States, I took a sociology class and we watched a movie on the war on drugs. And you have to keep in mind that I'm not from here. And many things that are very familiar and a part of American culture are still sometimes a big surprise for me that I just don't understand what's happening. And then when I started to learn about the war on drugs, and as a young and easily emotionally affected person, I got so upset with the whole story. And I'm just like, how people allowed that? And then, of course, I learned the stats about people being incarcerated for nonviolent crimes because of cannabis and how many of them are people of color and so on. So I'm just like, okay, I'm actually interested in this now. I think that this is a justice issue. That is something that needs to be investigated and needs to be improved and so on. So I actually came to the industry with like, the this idea of making the world a better place, kind of sort, and like that's still something that I always try to keep in mind because the industry in general gets more and more like like a corporate situation. There are more people with money coming in. There are more law introduced, which is a good thing, of course, and there are more money here. So what happens is that we start to kind of get out of this mindset of like doing it for the reasons we like people were doing that 10, 15 years ago, right? So I kind of try to keep it in mind every time when I deal with the plant or with the facility that we are in this for many reasons, and one of them is to make the world a better place. So that's how I started, and then I never seemed to stop because, yeah, I just like stopped writing eventually, and that's what I do now. And I think that it satisfied both my need to feel useful and work with hands. So yeah, and the rest of it I started to smoke.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm super excited to hear that you're making a transition from the alcohol into the cannabis. Uh,
Mm.
I drank at one point in my life as well. I no longer do. It's been a long, long time. But I'm always happy to hear, people come on over to the cannabis side. It's
Yeah,
such a
absolutely.
more safer way to relax,
Yeah.
I think. And let me tell you this: you seem to fit all the characteristics of a grower there, with the anxiety and the trouble sleeping. I mean, most growers I know tend to have those problems. So it sounds like you're going to fit right into the next portion of the story where you're a grower.
Right.
It sounds like you've already fell into that category quite well. So, when did you grow in, and what type of systems do you run? Can what to walk us through that? Do you prefer
It's
LA,
a
Dirty,
soilless medium. Yeah, it's just like it's very standard. And
Cocoa?
yeah, cool.
I
Yeah,
think you mentioned Rock Whirl at one point. What walk me
yeah.
through
Rockwool
your
is
grow here?
used for cloning sometimes, but my process goes like that. I use oxycloners. I don't know if you are like if I need to elaborate on that one or if you're.
Nope.
Um,
I use an oxycloner myself.
yeah, I think
It's
it's.
like a DWC underwater current type thing. But you're probably
Yeah,
better at describing it than I am.
Been playing with oxycloners for quite some time actually, and my own discoveries that I found out is that three smaller air stones are better than two big ones. We've been using like two, I don't know, maybe 3.5 inches. And actually, once the store ran out of them, and I got three smaller, and I figured out that probably the distribution of airflow within the water is better.
Interesting.
So that helped, and then
Interesting.
so
Can I
I
speak to
started to
that?
do that.
Since we're on this on the same cloner, that's what I run as well.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that as well because it comes with the circulation pump and then the stone that comes with them as well. And I've tried to run them both ways. I've tried to run it with just the undercurrent basically going around in there, which worked great. I've also tried it with just air stones in there, like you're talking. I've run multiple, kind of tried to spread them out so I had water
Mm-hmm.
trickling up on there, and that worked very well as well. And then I'm trying them both together, and that wasn't bad either. But recently, I heard Jeff Lowenfels about this cloning. And what he was saying was about the stones was you're kind of just inviting a place for bacteria to incorporate into clogged portions of the stone. So he was
Interesting.
to
Mm-hmm.
suggesting to just eliminate the stone and put the hose in there and just let it bubble. So that's what I've been trying actually. I kind of stepped it up a little bit instead of just running them in the back there where they're just kind of flopping around. What I've done is I've went like kitty corner. I stick one in right next to the clone into the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the tank. So it's kind of, bubbling up into the center from the corners. And I'm telling you what, I have noticed a quicker root time and a healthier root time as well. So just pointing that out, maybe you want to try that one time and run to see if my results match yours. But I'm telling you what, and I've done a side by side with the undercurrent and with the two in the corners there, and the two in the corners there beat the undercurrent every time. Stronger, healthier roots, and again, I'm not harboring it. There's nothing, no place
Interesting.
to harbor bacteria. So maybe
I
again,
never
I
thought of
don't
that,
mean. I
but
just
it's
wanted
really
to throw that
interesting.
out because we're running the same system there. So
Mhm.
again, please tell me about your garden.
And then second thing that I noticed is that if you use warmer water, they root faster. And what I mean by warmer, it's like 3 degrees warmer than your room temperature. So basically, when I need to add a little bit more water to the cloner, I make sure that I use warmer water, and that speed up my process. And then I actually learned about that, I read about that, I heard about that on a podcast, that actually higher temperature in the root zone helps the plants to root faster. So that's the other thing that I started to use. Yes, and yeah, we do cloning, and then we stepping up the plants into 1 gallons. That is my favorite plants because they're so beautiful and tiny. And as soon as we have at least 5 notes on the plant, I always cut the upper note, which actually helps with the growing hormone, right? So instead of going like all the way up, the plant starts developing the branches around it. So that's how early I start on the canopy in general. So cut it very early, and then it definitely took me a little bit of nerve to get around that, because many times I was just like, oh my god, that's too much, I just fucked up the plant, it's going to be all bad. But no, actually plants do recover from that. Yeah, I do
What
that.
are your thoughts while we're on the subject of cloning? And you're very knowledgeable, obviously, on the subject. What are your thoughts on? I know I do it. Cutting the fan leaves, the shade leaves back, trimming them back to limit transportation or transport. I'm sorry, I got caught mouth. there. Transpart, I'm not even going to try it again. It
Okay,
limits the amount
start
of,
over.
by trimming the fan leaves when you're taking the cloning, it limits the amount of loss the plant can do, right? And it
Eliminates
also helps the plant push transportation. I can't even spit it out if I wanted to. I've got terrible.
transpiration.
They, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. It limits that. It eliminates the amount of perspiration that the plant can put out there. But doesn't it also help the plant root as well? It helps put some of that energy into pushing down into the root system as well. Do you cut
Well,
the
we're
fan
talking about
leaves?
cloning. That's a very interesting question because I do know that it's been research made on that, on like if you need to cut the foliage of the fan leaves or not, right? Or if you need to keep the fan leaves when you clone and so on. And what they actually found out is that clones with untouched foliage, and I mean like two sets of a leaf and the node, right? Being completely in place do root better than those that would be like cut how we cut like at the rounds, for a better like for a better whatever we do it. I don't even know why we do it, but basically yes, plant clones that do have the leaves in place do tend to clone better according to this research. The problem with that though is that sometimes we don't have enough space, right? And we do want to keep the environment without those pockets where the pests can breed. So basically sometimes I would say it's better to cut the leaf so you don't have this problem. You have enough air circulation within your foliage of your like small baby clones. So I think that it's like up to whoever. If you want to do that, then yeah, do that. So yeah, we're already talking for like an hour and 15 minutes. It's crazy. I did not even notice that.
Well, that just shows you're comfortable in talking with me on this show, and I appreciate every minute that you've laid down. All right, do you have to get off? Can we continue with the story?
We are going to continue with the story, but I definitely can tell that I'm starting to get sleepy and like lose my attention a little bit for sure. So forgive me.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, veg plants when they're in, we do put them in 1 gallon right away. We do use approved cocoa coir to be particular about that. Um, and yeah, by the way, as soon as we see rutin in the oxycloners, we start to add the same water that we use in veg, just like a little bit of nutrients to the cloner too. I don't know if you do that, do you?
No, I leave them just the way they are until I take them out of the cloner, and then I go light nutrients for that first week or whatever until they drink a few times in my cocoa, and then I'll increase the nutrients once they've been transplanted.
See, that's what I mean. People do different things and all get great results. So it's not exactly the exact science.
Well, exactly. That's what I've been expressing from show one. Uh, we all are putting out as best information as we can, but there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? And the best way to take in knowledge in my book is to take in as much as you can and find out where all the variables line up, and then that's what you should go with. You know what I mean? Take in as much as you can, find out where everything lines up, and then take that advice. See where you know what I'm saying? That should be the advice you should follow. You shouldn't just follow one person or whatever. You should, take it in yourself, put your own judgments in there. We all have different techniques, different environments. So yeah, that's why I love having these people in, so people like yourself can put down how you do it and everything else, and people can take in what they want, and if it matches their system and then it's something that they can,
Yeah.
apply to their garden or whatever, then so be it. But
I
anyways,
think it
I'm
is
sorry,
very
I've been a
specific.
terrible
Uh,
host.
oh, that's okay. That's a specific balance between two things because I do know growers who try to introduce new techniques, who try to do new stuff, who try to develop new tactics, which is good on its own. At the same time, do not invent something that's already invented. So sometimes if something works, leave it alone. At the same time, you always want to improve, right? So you want to introduce something new, something a little bit here, a little bit there, and like find out how it works and so on. And yeah, I think that it's always going to be a little bit of a struggle. But the thing is, the more crops you went through, the better eye you have, the better eye you have for specific needs of plants. And it's funny because it's not even like the direct knowledge. It's not that like you read about it in the book and now you know, you just seen it before, and you like subconsciously start to notice if like something works and something doesn't. For instance, I am a big fan of super cropping. That is like my thing. I love super cropping. I think it's amazing. It's just great, right? But it definitely took me a lot of broken colas before I found out how to do it properly. And other people who work with me would like get frustrated about that, and I understand why, because you just lost the biggest cola on the plant because you really want to bend this. At the same time, as soon as you start to notice what works, what doesn't, when to do it, we started to do it earlier. Started to do it when the plants just pre-flower and so on, and the results are astonishing, right? So now super cropping is something that we do, and it works like that with everything. And remember, defending be disregarded because it just didn't work. The plants would get super stressed about being defense so
I'm
heavily.
super interested. So when you mentioned your super cropping pre-flower, is that like within like a week or so into flower, or just in veg before flower?
Uh,
When are you implementing?
Actually, I do know a person who does it in veg too, and it works just fine. Uh, the way that I found it a little bit more comfortable for me is when you put them in the veg, right? And you put the first layer of trellis. That's when you see the distribution and the heights. And that's like after that, you open up the canopy, right? You do find the right square in the trellis for every branch, so you kind of can see what can be adjusted. And that's why I say pre-flower. Yes, like pre-flower is like when the node like starts to get there, right? So that's where I prefer to bend them, because the other thing that it's going to have a trellis for support too. So instead of just like going all the way down, like, more than 90 degrees, it's going to lay on the trellis very like gently, and then it's going to support the plant too. But the good thing with super cropping, something that people don't understand, is people would say like, oh, it's kind of the same as like opening up the canopy. Not exactly, because when you do bend the xylem of the plant, you also change the flow of nutrients and hormones. So you basically, when you super crop, when you bend this cola, it means that the branches around the cola are going to start receiving different amount of nutrients and going to start developing differently too. So you are going to receive like bigger yield out of that. So I am a big fan of super cropping.
Now, when you say super cropping, that's when what kind of threw me off there. When I think of a scrog, I think of that to be more of a low stress training technique. Gently uh, moving branches, down without harming them, and letting the plant naturally heal without, very much stress at all. But when I think of super cropping, I actually kind of think of more like you stated in the beginning there, where you're actually bending that stem and snapping it a little bit, making a little bit of a knuckle there, so
Yep.
nutrients are kind of going one way, they're not coming back down.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about here. So you're talking about a couple weeks into flower, maybe you go in there and through your scrog pinch and
Yep,
knock them
I do the same.
stems up a little bit.
Yep, I do the same time when the first defanning happens, when I'm manicuring plants for the first time. That is usually when the super cropping is happening too. In flower stage, it's and what we do is we remove the lower branches that are not going to receive enough light or enough support, and they're not going to develop. So we just disregard them whatsoever. So it's a little bit of lollipopping, but we definitely don't have this like long trees with like canopy on top. But we do like cut lower branches, and then we do remove the foliage that covers shades the future colas for sure. And again, those like pockets of the plants where the airflow is so bad that I am personally terrified of having powdery mildew. So that would go too. And at the same time, when we do that, then the super cropping starts to happen. And then after maybe 2 weeks after that, 2 weeks after that, sorry, uh, it's another round of like kind of adjusting your plant. And again, this is really scary because I've done it before when the whole crop would like go to shit because we didn't do it properly. So it definitely has a lot to do with like eyeing and like being precise. But then we start doing it again, and then for about a week every day it's my job to go through the whole room and remove those leaves that I think are unnecessary, that are covering the bud and so on. So it's not only done twice in my case, I do it over and over and over again, looking for like if the super cropped guys need support, adjustment, and so on. And if like something wasn't super cropped but like got big, you cannot do that later when they start to flower because they develop a very strong stem, and it's like a completely different story. It's harder to bend. So you stick the stake in there. So you support it with stake. And then maybe 4 weeks before harvest is when I completely stop messing with that. It's done. Unless like something, unless the foliage is dead and can be removed because it's dead, nothing is removed till the end of the harvest. So yeah, that's my rule. um Talking about like I'm trying to walk you through my process, right? Again, everything is very, as you
Oh,
said
I'm
about.
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, Sonia. I'm gonna play with that super crop and then like week 1.5 2. I think I'm gonna go in there and experiment with
Yeah,
that a
just
little bit
try it
myself.
out.
So
It's a lot of fun for sure, but again, like
thank you.
it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. Okay, so
I've been growing up quite a long time, and I like to play a little bit. I like we were saying, I'd rather experiment with natural ways of bringing terps out and stressing the plant for
mhm.
THCs before I'd rather put something in there. So I love this tip. Thank you very much. I'm absolutely gonna play with this a little bit. So
I'm
please,
looking forward to, yeah, to see the results. Yeah, and again, if we're talking about mixing the water mixes, right? I again think that everyone is quite different, and whatever works for you, the same idea. If it works, if it's not broken, you don't need to fix it, right? So leave it alone. Basically, our mix is pretty simple. We did use silica, but we did give up on silica because it didn't agree with our filters. So it became a pain in the ass to clean it all the time. But it was fine in the end of the day because also something about silica is that what it helps to do, it helps to build the plant cells walls, right? So it is very important for plant immune system in particular and so on. So people who struggle a lot with powdery mildew, with like moldy conditions, with any sort of insects, it's something that you probably want to look at because silica in general does help with developing these like structures within the plant. However, again, I remembered about my dear grandmother. Um, Diatomaceous earth is something that also can be used. And what you do, diatomaceous earth is just a powder. It basically that algae walls too. So just like it's white, you mix it a a little bit within your cocoa mix and you use it as like a soilless mix with like diatomaceous earth. The good thing about it too is that it's so dry and it's so small that it works pretty well on preventing spreading of mites in particular, and because like and thrips, because the larva starts in the soil, right? But when you cover like the beginning of your stem by the soil and diatomaceous earth, when they start to crawl up, they dry out and die. It's amazing. I love it. That's what my grandmother did. Maybe just again a wishful thinking, and I'm just like, okay, it worked then, it's going to work now. I'm not sure. Still doing that just in case, especially when I know that some of like uh, we had like some problem before. So we do that. The mix is pretty simple and easy, and 3 weeks before harvest, I introduce phosphates in the same rate as Epsom salt that we also do. Um, Phosphates do help developing the bud structure. So in the late stage, it is pretty important, right? So to to improve your yield and so on. And actually, this information can be found in an amazing book. Give me a second. Oh, here it is. Beautiful. Right there. It's called. Do you see it? Teaming Up with Nutrients?
I
Yep.
can't see it.
It's a little. I'm sorry that it's reversed. Jeff. Oh, that's the one. We already
Oh
talked
no,
about him.
he's actually agreed to come on the show here in about a month. You might want to
Oh,
check
that's
that out
great.
if you want. When he's on, when he comes on, I'll send you a link to make sure you catch that. Uh, I can't
Absolutely.
wait for it myself.
But this is a
But
very
that
good
is a
set
great.
of books. That is for someone who wants to learn about how the plant and the soil works on a very like affordable in the matter of like your knowledge, your basis where you're coming from. This is great for like gardeners in general. So that's where you can learn about how phosphates in particular work on the plant, right? So that's what we do, and then a week before harvest we flush, uh, keeping the same pH of. By the way, when phosphates are introduced, the pH goes to 2 points up, 6.4 instead 6.2 what we use. So because phosphates are absorbed on a different level of pH, and then again when you flush it's 6.2 again for a week, and after that you're good to go. The good practices with harvest that I found out is especially when you do have like mildew problems or any other sort of these problems, before you start cutting down, shut all the fans off, because otherwise all this stuff is going to be all over the place. So, or like powdery mildew spores and so on. So before we walk in, like everything is off. If it's too hot for you, lower the temperature, but like this is not, the airflow basically stops, right? And also the same, talking about the change in environmental conditions, we do develop the whole scheme of CO2 ppms of relative humidity week by week to like adjust the best environment for the stage in which the plant is right now. So it is like it has a lot of like dials, I would say. And again, everyone has it very differently, and I really respect all of the ways people do that. I wouldn't I'm not the person who would go online and read, Reddit thread and then like try to introduce whatever this dude from, Oregon was doing. I would not suggest it to anyone who's listening to me now in particular. What I suggest to is like, if it's an interesting idea, let's say phosphate or diatomaceous earth, do your research and see if it's something that you can incorporate for yourself for sure. And yeah, the interesting thing happened once in my life is when powdery mildew infestation in the room that was harvested was pretty bad. And I found out online about H2O2 bath. I don't know if you ever heard of that. So basically, it's a very mild solution of hydrogen peroxide, right? And when you cut the branch, you cut the fan leaves off, and then you dip it in there for a minute, and then you dip it in the fresh water, and then you dry it. And PM was gone. It was crazy. The bad thing about that was the H2O2. Mm,
I was going to ask what would the mixture rate be for somebody that wanted to incorporate that.
I remember the mixture rate. 5 gallons of water, 1 cup of 3% solution. From they use the one online, they use the one from pharmacy, because we have like these bottles of like very high H2O2 solution, like 70%. I don't remember. I had to like recalculate it, but it was literally like a tablespoon, basically, or something like that per like 5 gallon. It doesn't need much. And at on one plant I tried to add much to see like more to see if it would make a difference. The thing is that H2O2 is so aggressive that the bud, when it dries, it starts to crumble a little bit. So that's why the solution is so low, but it did do wonders for sure. Again, I think that people need to do everything in their power to not allow powdery mildew on their crops whatsoever. But if it happens, maybe you want to look in the hydrogen peroxide bath, because it kind of like made sense to me. I hope I will never have to do it again, but it worked to a certain extent
No,
for
that's a
sure.
great tip because, like you said, that's something here in Michigan a lot of growers battle.
Hmm.
So I'm glad you threw that out there and gave them an option, to clean it up.
Yep. So, what is it? Oh, already an hour and a half. That is basically pretty much like the whole situation that is happening in the matter of growing. Now I am trying to move more to other parts of the industry. I'm very interested in, again, talking to people and seeing what people across the country do. And now when the rack is being introduced to Michigan, I'm very interested in see how that is going to affect us, because my philosophy in general is, if you're not using cannabis for wellness, you're misusing it. And with recreational marijuana coming to the state, it might be very different for everyone. And I definitely not the person who would say that you cannot abuse pot, because you can abuse pretty much everything. We all know that. But in general, like, I'm on that side of the population that believes that it is needed, and that it can be used for wellness only. And wellness is like, it's a very wide idea, right? Like PTSD wellness, glaucoma wellness, or just having good time with your lover. It's also like the same category. But if you're getting stoned every day, it's not like something that they judge, but it's not also something that I would support. Stoned, I mean, and that's it. And that is like circling back to higher THC. Yeah, it's going to get you fucked up. Also, do you need to? You know, kind of like that.
So I guess I know it's getting late and you're getting tired. But the only other question, I guess, well, I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to keep you up
We
and
can do it
you
again.
you
It's
too.
just like 1 in the morning.
I I get it. I get it. And I appreciate your time. You didn't have to come and do this, and so
No, I love it.
if
It's a
you
lot of fun.
and you seem very passionate about what you do, and I do have a lot of more questions for you if you would consider coming back on. Because like I said, we're kind of leaving off. I mean, there's a lot more in the room that we could go through there.
Mhm.
Nutrients and foliar
We
feeding,
can do that for
lights,
sure, but
and
you have
stuff
to
like
keep in
that.
mind that I never received proper education in that. So everything that I'm saying should be taken with a grain of what do you say? Grain of salt? I don't remember at this point,
Yes,
but
ma'am. Everybody knows that. I
mhm.
mean, this is we're all just taking it in and making our own minds up on what we're hearing anyway. So But you have to get that knowledge in, and this is such a great way to at least get it in your ear and make you look into it a little deeper. You understand what I'm saying? They might hear something that you're saying, and just I got to look deeper into that, and that's what they should do anyway. Anything that
Mhm.
we're saying, and if we're not speaking in 100% terms, they shouldn't run with that anyway. They should take the next step and go, okay, that was a great idea. Now I need to look more into that and find out exactly what's going on this subject. They shouldn't just be taking what we're saying here for 100%, writing it down as we go. They should be taking ideas to look further and deeper into.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's why the community is so much fun too. You just always talk and you just share your new practices and what happened. And yeah, I love it. I love. I have a favorite hydro store. I'm not going to say which one because would definitely be an advertisement. But I just love to go there
right.
and just chat with people because it is fun. And they like show you a new product and you're just like, okay, I am excited about that. You know. So that's for sure. You said you had one more question. Let's do that, and then like I am, yeah, falling
I
asleep.
believe it was just what lights are you running? And then there is one more question after that. That's the just a
Uh,
quick light. Which lights are you running?
my favorite lights ever are Fluence, but they're very expensive. So, but I'm just like putting it out there. That's my favorite lights ever. I do know for a fact that when you veg in plants, you need more of a bluish light. When you're blooming them, you need more of a yellowish light. So, if we're talking about being staying on a budget, basically, I would always suggest T5s for veg and halides for bloom if you want to do that. But again, Fluence is just we do have it in like in licensed facilities, and they're just fantastic. They're my favorite, and they're so like they're expensive, but they're very sufficient. The energy bill would go down if you can afford them. So that is my to go for sure. And yeah, but yeah, two-ended highlights and T5s. T5s are pretty. What I like about T5s and highlights, they're not expensive. They're like you can invest in them and not get broke.
Everybody's saying in chat how much they've enjoyed the show. I just wanted to make sure and point that out to you. I don't know if you've been
Oh,
watching
that's
the
so
chat as
nice.
it's been
Hi
going
guys.
along, but everybody has enjoyed it this whole time, and they're saying it right now how much they enjoyed having you and watching you
That
on
is
tonight.
beautiful.
And I I've enjoyed this conversation as well, and I do hope that we can do this again. The
Absolutely.
other question I wanted to throw out there is, we had a great gentleman in one of our like tonight after we're done. I'll go into like a bonus chat. I may see if Red wants to come in, and or maybe somebody else, and we'll talk and whatever. Kind of
Yeah.
like more of a group thing afterwards. But we had one of us. His name was Smiley Gardens on Instagram, and in the talk, he said, "Wouldn't it be great if we did a 24-hour marathon for charity on your channel?" So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a 24-hour spree here on 420, which is the stoner holiday, if you will, and it's more or less an opportunity to say that we can have our little stoner holiday and do something great with it. So we're gonna
Yeah,
do the
absolutely.
marathon, and we're gonna ask everybody to donate to a charity. And I'm kind of feeling you out a little bit to maybe see if you'd come on and maybe give me a half hour of content or something
I would love
for the
to.
cause.
Of
I would
course.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and if
Great.
going to
So
be any follow-up questions next time, I would love to join again.
cool. Just get back with me, and it'll be on 420. So it's like a week away. Just give
Mhm.
me an idea of a time slot where you would be comfortable in falling in, and
Okay.
I'll plan accordingly. And I would seriously appreciate you coming back on, because I know everybody would enjoy hearing from you again. again, this has been totally fun. I hope it's been fun for you as
Oh, it was
well.
so much
And
fun. I wish it was a little bit
I know
harder.
they've taken it. Yeah, I know it, but yeah, people's kind of hinted that they'd like the show a little bit earlier, but it unfortunately has to follow into my work schedule too.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's as late
absolutely.
as it is.
I think it's a great
But
idea for a late time cannabis show. I really like it. It's cool.
thank you. I sincerely thank you. I appreciate that. I know a lot of people in here in chat has been talking about what we've been talking about. So I know a lot of people have picked up a lot of pointers as well, not just myself. So I hope we can do this again, and I look forward to seeing you on 420. Please get back with me with a somewhat of a time
Yeah.
slot, and I
Mhm.
guess we'll chat then.
Perfect. Thank you so
So
much for having me. I really, really enjoyed it.
thank you. You have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Talk soon. Bye,
Oh
guys.
wait,
Bye.
what? One more time. Tell everybody where they can find you.
It's
I,
Instagram, one word, Sonia, wait, what? That's me. You will find nothing about cannabis there because my grandmother reads it. So
some great artwork and some great photos. I look down at it's a great page. And in a way, if you have any questions, I'm sure she could answer your questions through DMs. So thanks
absolutely.
again for coming on, and you have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. Sonia, wait, what? Wasn't that a great interview? I enjoyed myself, and I picked up a lot of great tips, as I hope that you guys did as well. I see Red Set of Fobs. I see Skillbo 17 in chat. I see Charlie's Farm, Mr. D. Sure, how? I know I screwed that just up. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Red, Skibble, if you guys want to jump in on a late sesh, raise your hand and let me know. I'll drop you some numbers. Other than that, we'll just hang out for a minute. What you guys smoking? I'll let you guys let me know did you like tonight's show? How I know it was for myself. I really enjoyed it. It was an interesting point of view. Super interesting story. So yeah, I know I've got caught like crazy to be honest with you. Tons of good info. Lost Leaf just dropped it yesterday too, and she'd come. I knew she was gonna bring it, and I was almost I intimidated with as much knowledge as I knew she would and could bring today. So yeah, thank you, Sonia. Wait, what? That was a super fun interview, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on 420. So what are you guys smoking on? Let's hear that. Appreciate all the comments there. Please hit that thumbs up. I know I can't believe I never in my life did I think I was ever gonna say that. But please hit that thumbs up. Uh, Show me that you enjoyed the show. And again, what are you smoking on? Brett says, I'm all hashed up. I could jump in. Let me hydrate and rehydrate. Fuck yeah, Red. I love you, brother. So Red's going to jump in, help me yuck it up a little bit. Aldridge 25. Cheers right back at you. Tangerine. Sounds really good. Borealis and Crops. F2. Ooh, Charlie's Farms. You want to? All right. Sounds good. We'll get her going. Throw this in here. Boom. Red, numbers are in the chat, brother. Abolish Farms, I think I seen you poking in there. You still hanging out? How you doing tonight? I might have to go back, and if you didn't miss it, I'm sure you didn't, go back and catch Skill Bowls and Red's late sesh. Of course, it was on earlier tonight at 11 p.m. Make sure if you missed it to catch it next week live before you catch on to me. I appreciate it. Of course, always supporting the good folks over there at the Michigan Bros Grow Show. Don't miss the Frugal Force Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. A boss and Force will be dropping some organic knowledge over there. And of course, the panel show Sundays, 9 o'clock. Always a good time. Hi, John. How you doing? Jimmy Crack Seeds smoking on some Skywalker OG. That sounds super good. Roadkill Skunk. Why does that sound so fucking appealing to me? Just why does that sound so appealing to me? It fucking sounds delicious. It really does. Hollis Farm says he'll jump in shortly. Well, I'll be sure to drop that in the chat then, Mr. Ballas. I am toking on a little primal punch. Unfortunately, without hash, because I knew she was going to be on point with some great knowledge, and I didn't want to be stymied in my hash coma. So I did leave the hash out of this one. C99, Cindy 99. Oof. Is that something you're growing, Smiley? Because if you got C99, I would love a cut of that, to be right about honest with you. That would be super, super tasty. Smiley, if you want to jump in on this, you're more than welcome to hit that too. Just saying. Just saying, brother. Just saying. Now it's the time to fire it up. Smoke a fatty. All right, man. Just skipping through my messages and seeing some good news there. It looks like Hope Farms, which is another CBD based cure farms in California, I believe they're located out of. They'll be coming in and talking to us about some CBD and their methods and how they process their CBD and their RSO, all that good stuff. So that's going to be fun. I did drop those numbers in chat for the bros to jump in on. Let's get a little bit of music going here while we're waiting for everybody to jump in, so you don't have to listen to just my dumbass babble. So we'll listen to, I believe it's a little Hell Yeah popping on first. I love this song. Need to go back in and find Smiley and chat. So what are you smoking on? Oh, hash time. I seen that. As soon as I looked up, hash time. That's fucking. Any Durban crosses. I haven't run out Durban just by itself, so I can't give you any advice on just running a straight Durban poison. I would think you'd want top. Keep it pushing. Tomorrow we'll have Tenacious Gardens here. And I guess since tomorrow is the day, I can go ahead and divulge our topic. Tomorrow we will be discussing psychedelics. Me and Tenacious Gardens will be discussing psychedelics tomorrow night on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle. Is that a subject that interests you guys? I know it does me. We'll be talking about the psychedelics and also the medical uses for them. I'm totally interested in the subject myself, and can't wait to hear the knowledge Tenacious is going to drop on us. He said, yeah, that's very vague. This should be a fun conversation. I think I'm going to have a good night tomorrow night. I am very, very stoked about it myself. For Van Hank. Super easy to grill indoors and out high turks. Naturally bug resistant. That's very true. It's very mold resistant too. Good thing. Shrooms, yes. You guys like that subject? Nice. Good. Good. I'm super stoked to hear that you guys are liking that tomorrow night subject. He's a super colorful person anyway, so even if it was straight up cabinets, it'd be a fucking amazing interview anyway. But to throw in the topic of psychedelics and magic mushrooms is super, super interesting to me. My man smiling. I got all sidetracked talking to you awesome folks. There he is. So how you guys doing in northern Michigan? If you like snow, which I'm not a big fan of myself, but that's sure what I got. Tons of it at one point. Alpha pinene is great for helping on your breathing. So strains that have that in it as well will help with your breathing issues, or just taking that in through essential oils. I don't know about the menthol cigarettes though. Skill Bowl 1, waiting for me to let him in. I just seen you, brother. Hold on. I'm letting you in. I'm letting you in. There you go. Skill Bowl is. Here he comes. Let me get rid of this music so we can talk.
Yo.
How you doing, good sir? What the fuck did I miss on the late sesh?
We talked really, really good about your show. And I told everybody I wanted to leave our stream and come over here and crash yours. So I figured I would lead by example by crashing myself. But in the meantime, I had to go grab food real quick. So I grabbed some THC gummies from Zilla's.
I can see the bump, brother. I can see the bump.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Hey, we're all in this thing together. It's like a late night hangout, brother.
Man, I hope you were able to catch some of that great interview.
I got to go back and
that was fun. It was fun. She dropped a lot of knowledge on us.
You're saying something about hash?
Oh, they were talking about hash in chat there. I said, personally, I laid off the hash because I wanted to
you don't want to be stymied. That's what it was. That shit made me laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew she was, I mean, her bio, when she sent it to me, it was super intimidating almost. I mean, writer, grower, trimmer, trip from Russia, artist. I mean, there was a lot of knowledge there. And you both know my terrible texting in chat. So she actually
there we go.
Corrected my grammar in text, and I was like,
"It got you,
shit." I better be on my P's and Q's for this one. I am going to be paying attention. So yeah, I did leave the hash out of tonight's joint.
Cheers, Jimmy Crack Seeds. What's happening, brother? Hope you're doing good tonight out there. Smoking on something good.
Alterage 25 says he's smoking on some hash right now.
I'm excited. Yeah. It looks like that. So the interview kind of went a little long, huh? That's pretty awesome, dude. Gave you a couple hours.
Yeah,
of time,
yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. I really did. And she also, I don't know if you caught the end of that, she agreed to kick in some time on the marathon with
I did
us
see
as
that,
well.
yeah.
That's
I'm
when
glad that you
I caught
announced
the
that,
very
too.
end. That's really awesome. I'm glad I got to catch her on here for a minute, which is really cool. So Sonia's one of the few people I've like allowed in my house. So yeah, man. Shout out to Sonia. That's if I love you, you've been allowed in my house. Sequence has been in my house. He knows. Shout
I
out to
Shout out to
appreciate the lead
Sequence.
on that. That was an awesome guest to get on here. And as well, I'm sure that a lot of women growers were nice to it was nice to see, for them, a woman grower. Nice change of pace to see a woman grower on as well. So I appreciate that. I really do. She was super informative, and she actually cut herself short there. She could have dropped us a lot more knowledge, but she was getting a little tired.
Oh yeah,
I
man. She's
understand.
really
It
smart,
is
really
late.
great. Really tuned into the plant for sure.
How'd you
Yeah,
guys
she's a
enjoy
great trim.
yesterday's?
She came over and showed me some tips and tricks on trimming and how to manage trim crews and stuff like that, and really gave me some killer knowledge. It was really cool. She's very smart. Sorry,
How'd
Eagle.
you
Go ahead.
guys enjoy? Did you guys happen to catch or enjoy yesterday's with Lost Leaf?
Oh, yeah.
I crashed early last night, so I've been picking up bits and pieces of that one today while I've been at it. Most of my day I spent on the phone trying to troubleshoot my furnace problem solvings, but I got it mostly figured out. So I unfortunately didn't get to do too much listening to that, but once I get back in the garden, I'm gonna do that.
Oh,
I also got to catch up on Sonia's too now,
so.
because I only caught the last chunk of Sonia's little interview with you, so I only got to see her signing off. So I'm really excited to catch the last couple episodes.
Maybe I'm a little bit biased right here, but I think it's awesome to have so many people putting out so much content, especially now when people have so much extra time on their hands to try to fill their days with. You know what I mean? So we're definitely glad. Everybody in chat, cheers. Hope you're getting ready to smoke along with us. And I just want to say thanks for being part of this awesome community, and thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, Eagle, thanks for being so open and just inviting us on too. I appreciate that. Cheers, chat. Cheers, cannabis community.
Not that much love for you guys, It's better to have a banner amongst friends than to just sit here and try to babble in front of the microphone as I smoke. So thank you. I appreciate
you turned into quite the pro here on episode 17. I think you've actually hit your stride. Your cues are good, brother. I'm really impressed with the leaps and the bounds, and your viewership is right there with you, man. I see the same names in your chat every single day that I see. Shout out Trinity Farms. I see you out there, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Shout out Trinity Farms. Appreciate you, man.
Trinity Farms has dropped a positive compliment on every fucking episode. Said keep it up, great content, appreciate it. Them comments right there really, help you dig in and make you want to do it more. I know you guys see them in your stuff as well, and I don't think, maybe you guys don't think we may not see them or whatever, but I know when I see them compliments, I'm fucking stoked. We let Abolish Farms in here.
So, Eagle, just because I'm on the talking late, look, I got to bust
like
out the big time
floating in space.
The Eagle roller.
What's up, shit talkers?
Nice.
Well, it's funny because
doing,
our episode we just did on the late sesh is we did it with Dankman Dan. And if you didn't get a chance to check that out, please go back and watch. He is one of those ultra positive people that always has something kind to say. And it's like I told him, he is an example of the good cannabis community that we always brag about. And, I see a lot of people in this chat too that are always supportive. It's great to see, man. It's great to be a part of it. All right, where are the jumbo papers at, right?
You got the jumbo roller, no jumbo papers. You got jumbo weed?
No, dude, look.
Jumbo weed?
My daughter bought this for me. This is what I keep my papers in.
Oh, there you go.
It's the space. It's the space cats,
what I'm talking
man.
about.
It's a very, and it's even got the glitter handle too for the extra coolness.
Abolish is in space. He's out there in the.
Let's say there's my little paper holder.
Somebody in
Renaissance
the last show said it looked like Abolish dropped out of hyperspace in the Millennium Falcon when he showed up.
Yeah, I'm having to travel deeper into space to unlock the true nature of the Force.
Red, you didn't think I had large papers, but shout out to Mammoth P and my local grow shop for giving me the hookup on the big papers and the built-in filters. So I'm still in the game, Coach.
I'm
That's
going back
all I
and
have
throwing hash in there.
is giant papers. But you know what? I don't know why I don't have any down here. What is going on?
I had them Mammoth P papers for a while. I can't bring myself to roll with them. Like, I just want to look at it. It's so fancy.
No giant papers. I'm gonna have to just
it's
go.
So
with
fancy. There we
I think since you got me started with the hash in the last show there in the late sesh, I'm just gonna keep the hash rolling, Scobo.
That boy.
Eagle, I'm smoking on some hash tonight, buddy.
I actually took my joint apart and I'm re-rolling that fucker to put some hash in it because I feel left out.
I feel like I caught the very end of what you were saying. You didn't put any hash in your joint tonight because
he didn't want to get stymied with Sonya. He had to make sure that he was on his A game. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
go. Some
go.
intelligent conversation here, unlike what Eagle is being subjected to along with his listeners right now with us crashing the scenes.
Bunch of rattling jars we are.
No.
Is this how we're
No, nothing. Like
actually, Galactic Farms is a great fucking name. That is a good name. There you go. Got to use the old King Palms here to try to.
Oh yeah, the King Palm poker.
Dude, always save these things, man. Especially if you're a joint smoker.
If you're a joint smoker, use a King Palm poker.
There's my marketing man right there.
Here we go.
Cheers, Chad.
I really like them King Palms, but I mean, I swear to you, I can roll about 10 blunts or 10 joints in the same time it takes me to pack one King Palm.
You know what it reminds me of? If anybody out there knows what's up with the freaking a Black and Mild and then repacking it, let me know in the chat.
Oh yeah,
maybe
dude,
that's a little too
dude.
Yeah, man, that's
my cousin taught me that one, and I would always do that.
The old wooden tip boys, you know what I mean? Yeah, freak them out. Okay, here we go, Eagle. I tried to do you some justice, brother. That's a beastie. I just got to finish her off now. I should just load the end of this motherfucker with a little bit more.
I feel like I still have dreams where I'm going to get Phillies and.
You have dreams still? That just means you don't smoke enough cannabis, bro.
Dude, it's weird.
You better turn that consumption up, and you'll stop having dreams altogether.
I have very, very vivid dreams. I'm a daydreamer.
Okay.
Daydreamer.
Eleanor Rigby.
See that?
Sorry, man. We're turning this into a late session, stupid vibe and bullshit.
Sorry, Eagle. We're over here killing your show, man.
Oh, I'm doing exactly what we're supposed to, right? Shit talking.
We're shit talking.
The show?
Yeah, that's shit talking, man. That's all.
Well, there's a difference there, pal. Shit talking in the aspect that you're talking about sounds more like fucking a negative thing. Shit talking on the show is more like a phrase for two friends getting together in a laid back conversation. You're fucking talking shit with your friends, not necessarily shit talking. There's a huge difference there, in my opinion.
Eagle has to, yeah. You've got the spiel down, don't you, Eagle?
You gotta enunciate.
He's got the spiel down.
Well, you know, I was fucking T-Dog when T-Dog was on. I've always asked everybody what they thought of the title, and everybody except Sonya. Fuck, I forgot to get this soundbite from Sonya. I've asked them what they thought of the fucking title and whatnot, and T-Dog nailed that shit. He's like, man, it's just old slang. He's already committed 420. In fact, since you want to bring that up, let's go over that a little bit. Who's already signed on for this?
I thought about that when I was listening to T-Dog show. Oh, go ahead, man. Sorry.
We've got the Idea Man on the list there.
Smiley. Shout out to Smiley. Here.
You said you'd participate, Mr. Red Setter Farms.
Yeah,
Charlie's Farms said Charlie's Farm said he'd pop in whenever we needed him. The American one is donated some time whenever we need him on that day as well. Lost Leaf said he'll be here talking to us throughout the day and on his time slot. Of course, Mr. Skibbo 17 on your YouTube will be joining us in the morning. I believe is when midday around noon. Isn't that what you said, or early?
Oh, I want that 420. I want that first 420 in the morning. That's the one I want.
There you go.
So I don't mind vibing on with somebody else. I might be able to catch it, because sometimes Eagle goes until 5. And I'm sure on 420 he turns up to an extra notch. But you won't be doing it alone. I guarantee you that. That's
Sequence 3 said he'd be a part of the 420 adventures. Good man here. Abolish Farms said he'd help us out with some content and some time there. That'd be super cool. Spartan Grown said he'd donate some time as well. As also Nutrient Shootout said he'd donate some time. For Growly said he'd donate some time in on this. T-Dog's in it as well. Mid Grower 1 said he'd be here for some time. He wasn't sure what time he'd be able to donate because the Grow Tube's putting out a show that day as well. But whatever, I'll take what I can get. And of course, sonyawaitwhat just said she would donate some time as well. And I have a ton of invites out, so I'm sure that list will tomorrow.
That's a star-studded cast, man.
A life
Damn.
of its own.
That's really good, man. That's going to be hell of
420 is going to be jamming.
We have to make it extra special, man. We have to. I mean, if the only sesh that you can get is the YouTube community sesh, I mean, shit, we're going to have it fun. I know somebody's going to say some funny ass shit in the chat. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, chat's going to be rolling all day. It's going to be really cool. That's going to be fun.
Oh, did you see that in the Reels? I got one to here. It says Reels 100_212. This show is subcool times 10. He would love this. I hope you realize what that means to Eagle when you say that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad you pointed that out to Eagle.
I can't let it go by. Headstoner's fault.
Too.
I got you.
It's been a good experience, man, and I love all the support from you guys and chat and all that. It's been fun. Michigan has a unique community. We really do. We like to see each other succeed, and I think that sets us apart from all the other marijuana communities. And not only that, we seem to be picking them in, robbing them from everywhere else. You know what I mean? We've got all the great growers in our community, but we seem to be snagging them from all across the country. Heck, I've seen people in these chats from the UK. I've seen a couple of them from India. Got viewers that pop in all night from Canada. I mean, it ain't about just
it's a global cannabis community thing. It's global, man.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him in chat, but there's a dude from Australia in chat on the late sesh just a little bit ago. All
Isn't that
over
cool?
the world.
I was looking through my analytics last night, and the people in other countries. I'm like, there's actually people not only just watching this in other countries, but it's being translated, in caption in English across the screen. So not only are they just watching it, they actually have to watch, the screen for the translation and everything. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's just amazing. It blows my mind that, a little grower from Michigan could fucking touch anybody from outside of this little region.
You nailed it right there. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
The analytics are fun. I'll spend hours looking on there, like seeing like exactly how many women watch compared to men, like what countries, it's really, really cool. It really is international.
It's terrible too, Apollos. I find myself, it's like Facebook or Instagram, like exuberated times a fucking 100 and shit. I find myself checking that YouTube creator fucking thing way more than I do my Instagram anymore. I'm like, all right,
because
how many minutes who's looking at me?
But this is a lot more personable because this is real-time interaction with people. Like Aldridge just told us he's from Texas. Shout out down there, deep in the heart of Texas. It doesn't get more foreign than that, no doubt, bro. Richard is in the UK. Good morning, Richard, from across the pond.
Yeah, share this content on your social medias. Yeah, like Facebook, definitely, because we don't really do too much on there. I don't think any of us do.
Nah, we love
And that's
it,
there's actually a pretty big demographic that grows and is interested in cannabis that is only on there too.
Cheers, Mr.
Come on,
Dublin.
guys. You didn't think Eagle was going to leave out Facebook, did you?
No, you know you. That's one of the older nests that you held, I'm sure, for social media.
I don't post it back to it, but lately, since like even on the iPhone, I found is fucking. I hate my iPhone, but there's little things that I'm starting to like about it. Like from my Android phone, I can post to say Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. You know, I had a pushable button, so I can, you know, that's what made me start reposting to that old account. I was like, I've got, you know, a lot of followers over there I haven't connected with in about 10 fucking years. Well, I'm not let them. I'm still alive and doing something. So I started throwing shit off that way, but I just thought it was cool as fuck. But now from the iPhone now. One positive from the iPhone now, I can everybody knows I have some there's Eagle Gardens 1, Eagle Gardens MI, there's Eagles Tats, there's the Weed Nerd Misfit 1, Motor City Misfits. I have all, but with the iPhone I can post to all those accounts and Facebook and Twitter all one press of a button. So you can, you know, advertise times a whole lot more on that damn iPhone. So that's the only thing I like about the iPhone. The rest of it I could just smash with a hand. But yeah, I've been utilizing as much social media as possible. And like I told you guys in the beginning, it's silly not to. The only platform I believe right now I don't have an account on is fucking TikTok, and I don't even know why the holdup is there. Because I'd rather snag in on every fucking platform and at least snag my name up before somebody else snags it up and tries to portray me for some bullshit than use it and let it go. I'd rather jump in there, claim my account, and fucking leave it never used or whatever. But at least have my name there and available in case I ever want to use that shit. So, and I tell everybody to do that. Not only that, on your main accounts, make sure and get that back up and make sure everybody knows about that shit, just in case. And I preach this because I've lost so much over the years. That's why a lot of people don't know as much shit about me as they do, because I've been doing this for a long time, but I've lost fucking so much content in the fucking Dig Den when it folded up, and fucking Mass Roots when it fucking folded in. I've seen a lot of fucking communities, weed chat forums fucking fold in an instant. You're like heartbroken. Not only did you lose touch of a community, but you lost track. I'm guilty of like back then that was my records. You know what I mean? I didn't even I was terrible at taking records back then. I would make a post, and when I wanted to know basically what was going on, and flip back through my feed, and I'd go, okay, I put them in flower that day. Okay, cool. And I used my social media as kind of my notepad. And that fucking sucked, because once all that shit folded up, well, guess what? It was all gone. So that was the other reason I started branching out and making accounts everywhere else. But backup accounts are fucking really important, because nowadays we all know about this fucking shadow ban bullshit. And if you have shadow banned or you get pulled on one account, then you still have a voice and a way to reach out still with everybody else to go, hey, look, guys, I'm not dead. I'm just fucking over here. They fucked me. So yeah, that backup account even on my YouTube already, I've already created a fucking Eagle Gardens branded account. I don't plan to do anything with the branding, but that backup account's there, and I've already started to funnel a little bit of content over that way, just in case they do plug on this shit.
I want to say a shout out to Alex Boychev. It's 7:44 a.m. over there. It's wake and bake time. Cheers. I hope it's going down smoothly and doing its job. And there was the question was,
Oh,
by the way,
Boss
do you
Sparks,
think
You
there are
look
any
busy as hell on that
advantages?
computer. You're
Yes,
not making
yes.
up my TikTok account, are you, motherfucker?
You know, I want to ask you a question on it because I mean, this is going to make me sound old. And I really don't. I see the TikTok posts and I see the little things that people are making. And when I ask about it, I asked about this I'd say probably 6 months ago or something like that. And most of the crew and a lot of my friends were like, that's for younger people. And at the same time, I have like marketing gurus that I watch that say you're dumb if you don't put your brand on TikTok. So my question is, what could you actually do on TikTok other than like
Video.
do an advertisement? Like, could you actually like do a guide on there, like show somebody how to clone or anything like that?
Sure, why not? Whatever your time thing is, you could do it. If you know you had to break it up and put it out in different parts, I mean, there's definitely a demographic on there that would like to see that.
Okay.
For sure.
And
you could make like, I don't know if they're like 90-second videos, but you could just make 90-second fun advertisements for the show and throw them up there, I would think.
UK SIF 420, yes, we were live, and I'm sorry you didn't get a notification for that. But in the future, if you want to check us out for the late sesh live, that will be on at 11 o'clock on Mondays Eastern Standard Time, right before, we can use that as a pre-session. You guys can fly over here to Eagle's Nest and kick it with him. So
yeah, we're trying to stick to a schedule for the Groskies. Like just know that at 11 o'clock on Mondays, the late session will be on, and just like Sunday nights, the live will be on at 9, and Frugal Force will be on Saturdays at 8. It never really changes. But the notifications have been screwy.
Yeah, we should
Here's a
have
fucking TikTok or a Zoom lesson for us. I forgot to fucking lock. They've been making improvements on this fucking Zoom all week for the last week and a half. And I'm telling you right now, I've had multiple instances where fucking they've jumped in on me and fucking fucked with my shit. They just did a minute ago. And since it all stopped. So when you're running your shit, you have to lock these meetings. And I didn't lock the meeting after I left you guys in. And something just fucking took over my shit and fucking made my screen go haywire. But after I locked the meeting, now I got fucking full control again. So when you're running these meetings, fucking make sure you are a fucking, you know what's even weirder about this? Wow, this is fucking weird. Is after this, it does help to lock these meetings. But no, my phone's fucking plugged in right now. And on top of the fucking shit that just happened with Zoom, my phone just fucking started over and it's fucking plugged in. It's not like that battery just died or anything. It just fucking tripped out and started all over. That's some weird shit.
Yeah,
that's weird shit.
Yeah, in the chat, they're talking about TikTok will remove your cannabis content faster than Instagram. And the guest that we just had on the late sesh, Dankman Dan, was just talking about how his wife had her content gets pulled down almost immediately when it's cannabis related from either smoking or showing the garden or things like that. So I'm not really sure. Definitely look into it. Yeah, definitely.
What a bummer.
Really, it is.
And thank you for that Ocean Decor 420 for that.
Yeah, I appreciate feedback like that. It saves me a lot of time.
There's a new name. How would you say that? Spraynard. Welcome. That's a name I've never seen before. Welcome. How you doing? Welcome. Fucking talking with shit with Eagle.
Fucking talking with shit.
fucking talking
high.
with shit.
Let's get fucking
Let's
high.
get high. It's been a long day, bro. I didn't actually plan to go the bonus round tonight, but since you guys were hanging in, I was like, fuck it, why not?
Smiley said they allowed if I do a dance video while I'm cloning.
I do cannabis, but that shit locks my phone up like fucking crazy. That's the one platform that I can't fucking use. As soon as I bring it up, it locks my phone up.
I have an
But
account.
I use the social doobie. I use that one.
I'm on Cannabis, and I got high hopes that it's gonna like, go somewhere, like start bringing in people outside, just the people in the cannabis industry. So I have an account. I'm just not super active on it. I've been kind of waiting for it to really get going.
I think that's what a lot of people have done, and that's kind of why it hasn't taken off. Is people left Facebook and they migrated to Instagram, and then Instagram has its fans and definitely its detractors. So I think that's where a lot of these got created, was in response to sometimes the tightening grip that social media has on content that they don't really like, sometimes like cannabis. So it's unfortunate. Eagle, there's a question if you'll be having Fumidor on.
I keep talking to him, and he said he'd come on, but we're having scheduling trouble.
Logistics.
Keep saying yay, but scheduling can be a motherfucker. The
Glad
other
using
one I
chat.
use
That's
is
always fun.
Burner's Social Club, which was supposed to be like weed content, but I shit you not, I looked through and they're like, there's a lot of weed, but it seemed more like fucking more hookers than anything. So stay out of Social Club. Burner's Social Club.
I just coughed so hard that my entire body got itchy. That was a pretty hard hash hit.
So you still feel the echo of the cough and the burn.
It was an echo. I got itchy, dude. It was rough. I'm trying to refrain from scratching myself all over. It was crazy. It's like it just all my blood just like went. Shook all my blood like a blender.
Don't worry. I got the clip of you spilling the hash on the camera earlier.
Oh, you got that? Oh, awesome. Oh, dude, yeah, it's totally totally spilled hash. And
man, we could do it damn near a 24-hour blooper reel for MBGS of just funny, stupid shit that we accidentally said.
It's funny because just before I logged onto here, I spent a good minute trying to blow off all that keef out of my keys, trying not to smear it in there. I eventually had to give it a little wipe, but I think I got most of it off. The computer warmed up.
You would have got a fucking nice cake.
It kind of melted in there, actually. Computers, my laptop's all hot. I got melted hash.
Sticky.
Yeah.
So I want to be on the record about this because I fucking stuttered for multiple reasons. And I fucking stuttered real good tonight during the fucking chat with Sonia, during the word I can't even fucking do it again. Transpiration. Yes. Yeah. A lot of you probably don't notice this, and I guess I'm not too afraid to fucking show it or make fun of myself, but I have a fake tooth right there from fighting, from all my many years of boxing, and my tongue when I get cotton mouth like a motherfucker likes to catch on that fucking tooth, and that's why I stuttered. I take that fucking thing out and the stutter's fucking gone all day long. But I throw that thing back in, my tongue likes to stick on that dry spot. So that's more, a lot of times it's somewhat high, but more likely it's because my tongue's stuck to this fucking back of this fucking tooth.
Eagle, nobody is holding that shit against you. We're just here for fucking hanging out and having some good laughs. Nobody judging you like that. And to take your mind off it, look at what Nutrient's saying in the chat.
That's from years of kickboxing right there. The fucking casualty of kickboxing right there. Sometimes you fucking take one to the face.
Yeah, don't let him Chuck Norris spin kick you roundhouse in the face out of not as the first shot. Don't go out like that, man. Don't just put your arms up and take it in the face.
Shit happens, man. Shit happens. But that's the reason a lot of times when I get tongue tied there, that's why it happens right there. It's because it's stuck on that fucking fake tooth. I hate it. You'll never see me without it. I fucking would rather not leave the house than let that thing shine. But in fact, I'm like super self-conscious about it, actually.
No worries. Nutrient Shootouts wants to know if you remember Subcool trying to light the microphone.
The gremlins got him.
Eagle, get the door.
There it is.
There you go. No water after midnight. No food after midnight. No water at all.
What are you, a gremlin?
What are the rules? Yeah, he's got gremlins.
Yeah, gremlins, man. Don't feed them or any water after midnight.
No water.
What's his name? Like Mogwai or some stuff like that?
Something like that.
I think it was.
I don't know.
Skilbo was like but a kid when that originally
Mogwai.
came out. I think it was like
Mowgli?
I don't know, something like that.
Is that something else?
Something.
Mowgli?
It's
Is it
one of
Mowgli?
their. And then I think Mogwai, but then I'm like, no, I think that's that post-rock band. But can't remember. Anyway, that's probably like 1984, 85.
Yeah, I can't even unlock my mic.
Ah,
You can unlock. Oh,
we got you, bro. We'll run with
yeah,
this.
we heard you say that.
Oh, you can hear me now.
We can hear you now.
Your face is frozen on my screen. All right.
Yeah, it just looks like you're lagging a little bit.
Yeah, a little lag.
Okay.
I Gruesome said it's Gizmo. Yeah, that was one of their names.
Gizmo. That's it.
Yeah, he was the
That's
cute
the
one.
main one. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Mowgli's damn Jungle Book.
See,
Is that
Dude, I
Jungle
would wish-
Book, dude? There you go. Thank you. I'm also.
I wish it would be lag, but I lose control over the whole fucking computer.
Bright light, dude. I love it, dude. They got
Bright
all the
lights.
names going. I dig it.
Yeah, I think it was in like sixth
Yeah,
grade
it's
when that
fucking
came out,
crazy.
man. Cheers, chat. We're just
I don't know.
a bunch of stoners smoking and just kicking it.
Talking.
You're having a good
movies.
time on our sesh with us, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Indeed,
dude.
Yeah, it
Yes.
looks like you're back.
Good.
See, aren't you
You
glad we
will.
did join you so
Jesus,
you got
man.
some coverage for this shit?
Well, it looks to me like fucking. If it were the lag in the internet, I would think it. You know, like I said, I'm losing control of my fucking computer. So if it ain't somebody stepping in and fucking with the computer, then maybe I don't have enough RAM or something. CPU ain't big enough. Kids might be getting a new laptop. It's time to go bigger, I guess. Make this shit work.
I just blew more
Damn it.
hash all over my lap. Man, you got to be
No,
careful with hash, dude. Hash will burn
Brad.
through your clothes so fast. I was
Oh.
trying to blow on it and
Oh,
keep it
yeah.
going, but I put
Oh,
too small of pieces in there and it kind of puffed out like an ash.
yeah, man.
Yeah, didn't work.
Nice piece of hash that
Go out.
don't want to go out.
Charlie is ready to jump in, Eagle.
All right. You guys don't have to stop talking.
No, I got the
See,
cough.
I don't even know if I can.
Crazy, man. I'm taking too big of hash rips over here.
I get that nose itch when you hit it, like you get down to the end of like the big joint and just really kicking off the smoke, and you get that nose little tickle. Try not to.
Well, I feel like I can't let it go out, so I keep puffing on it, right? And I don't want to.
Exactly. Look at this.
Well,
Look
it's not
this,
that I
bro.
don't want to let it go out. I just don't want to waste it all the smoke, so I just keep puffing.
Just
on
try to chief it. Yeah,
it. Chief about it.
chief it. Don't chief it. Peace out, Elliot Harkins. Get some rest.
Peace out. Have a good night.
So, Mr. Polish, I got a technical question for you right there. So, can I daisy chain these two laptops before I step up and buy another laptop? Because I got two sitting right here. Can I like link them together and somehow ease the fucking stress on the one?
No, like
Little
the
on-air tech.
only real option would maybe to get a SSD drive or some kind of external drive to put on there that's really big and run everything off that. But yeah, it might as well probably just upgrade. How many RAM or how much RAM do you got right now? Do you know?
4 gig.
Oh, you definitely need more RAM. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, looks like I got some shopping to do for 420 fucking because I ain't having to fuck up on that day.
Well, yeah, I think my machine has 12, and I really wish that it had 16 or more in it, just to keep it like that. So I know
Actually-
that when I had a laptop that had, it was either 3 or 4, you know, it used to really lag, and that was a few years ago. So you're definitely due for, you would like the performance enhancement for that.
I actually did
Well,
the
I bought
majority.
this one. This one ain't old.
No.
I just bought this bitch like a month ago.
You could try bare bones in it, Eagle, because I mean, up until I just got this computer, I'd say, what, about 3 months ago? About 3 months ago.
January.
All the content up until then, I was using one that had about 4 gigs, but I would do what I would call bare bones. And like I would go into Task Manager. I'd literally shut down everything on this damn computer that I could, till I'd even test stuff out to make sure if the computer would crash or not, if it was running it or not. And then I would edit content. So that might be something to try if you don't want to buy a computer.
Yeah, I forgot actually I had Instagram running here in the background. Should probably shut that shit down.
Yeah, that may slow you down a little bit. Depending on
Everything slows everything down.
Yeah.
That's one of the issues.
Well, I'm like trying to pick up little techniques as I go along. So I've noticed that and in some cases when I'm talking to somebody like Sergeant Pepper the other night that couldn't or didn't want to expose themselves on camera for one reason or another, I found it pretty cool to just throw up their profile and kind of scroll down their Instagram while I'm talking to them. So, you know, something there's representation of them while they speak. So I've been trying to work on different ways of, you know what I mean, screen sharing shit like that. So if I'm gonna keep doing that, it sounds like I kind of need to step up. So that's what I was doing this evening, and was I had that shit up and was like kind of scrolling down the page and shit, but thinking of shit to talk about. Honing them skills as fucking Mr. Skillbo would say.
That's it, man. That's all it is. It's just the more you do it, the more, you know, it's like fake it till you make it at this shit. We try to act like we know what we're doing, but you know what? You have to realize that we had to teach ourselves how to grow, and then we had to get better at it. And then we got into social media or kicking it with other growers, whatever you want to call it. So we've taught ourselves how to use this technology for this shit. It's, you know what I mean? So if there's growing pains involved to it, and it's not easy to sit here for, you know, like in our instance, we just did a long show, then we came on to here and we smoked solid the whole time. It definitely gets harder if you get on the gas pedal smoking and you're trying to follow the chat and follow the conversation and still do everything right and remember not to talk when you're muted like I do all the time. Like I did that shit like 3-4 times yesterday, trying to say something, and because I was clicking between my two screens, one was chat and one was the Zoom call, I would go to hit my space bar to unmute, and really it's putting a space over in the YouTube comment section. So it makes me look like a jackass, but fuck it, it's all good. Yeah, that's right, Aldrich. It's ever evolving.
Shout out to my daughter, Alexi II here in chat. Love you, baby. Always peeking in at dad, watching her dad. She's proud of me. It's proven, you know, I talk a lot of inspirational bullshit on the air, but I try to talk a lot of inspirational bullshit to my kids as well. And, you know, last night and the last few episodes have been just killing it, you know. And I'm fucking blown away about this shit. I said it earlier when I said, you know, I was stoked that other people in other countries was watching this, but it really, it moves me. It's really moving me. But last night when I got off the show, and she probably testified to this, I woke her up. It was like fucking 4 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't believe it. You know, when I had checked out last night, there was already, you know, 250 views or some shit on the show, and that's huge. That's fucking huge to me. You know what I mean? I can't fucking believe this shit. It hasn't even settled in my mind yet that people are even follow along to this. But what I did was I went in there and I woke her up and I told her how happy I was, how the shit was going. And then I looked at both girls that were in the room, and like I preach to them all the time, is it's never too late to pick up and start something new and say you can do it. You know what I mean? In my mind, in my whole life, I've always you ain't holding me back from nothing. If I can see it in my head, I can fucking do it. And you know, there's nobody here and nobody in life has you the right to tell you you can't. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't even know what you're capable of yourself until you put that foot forth and have tried. And that in itself, that them first couple of steps of just trying and succeeding in the early steps will pull you full through and drag you forth. But I made sure and told them, you know, exactly. I was like, you know, I didn't think I would succeed. I thought I would succeed doing this, but you guys should know that, you know, I want you to know, no matter at any point in your life, don't be afraid to pick something up and run with that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's never too late to do new things in your life. Don't think you can't at any
Couldn't
point.
agree more, brother. You were there to support me in the very, very beginning before there was Michigan Bros Grow Show. When we had discussed, you know, hey, would you ever consider if I think it was, like I said, if I could ever get a show like Grow Tube Roundtable going for Michigan or a podcast for Michigan, would you be willing to check it out? And he was like, fuck yeah, man. That's a fucking great idea, bro. You know, and then we took off from there. I met Abolished. That was the second time I'd met Eagle, obviously. And I met Abolished the same day when he was working at Canna Queen's table. That was Kushstock. That's going to be a year ago on Monday, so that I'm speaking of. And I was really, really impressed with how approachable Abolished and Miss Cantaloupe were. They were really super, super nice to me. He even secretly slipped me a little sample of the Abolished OG to try, which was like super cool. So like when I'm leaving the show, because I haven't been to many, I got this Abolished OG, and then in my other hand, I've got some stuff that Eagle gave me. And I can't for the life of me remember what the hell it was that you gave me, Eagle. Because you've had so many strains that have come through. You know what I mean? And it's like, when I got home, the first thing I did was, you know, I have two different grinders. So I put one in one and one in the other. And, you know, I don't know. It's like that fanboy shit. But they've always been supportive of me. So I can't but be supportive to all three of these guys in their personal endeavors. Eagle with the Talking Shit Show, Abolished in Red with the Frugal Force, you know, all of us collectively, and the live stream on Sunday nights. We like hanging out, man. And we love that you appreciate the conversation and have your own going on in chat, guys. So cheers tonight. I'm going to roll up this last one.
Speaking on that, I want to, now that I got you and Eagle here, do you guys have any pictures or video of that day? Because I don't know if you've seen today, but I started working on the 1 year video. And I think that'd be really cool to have in there.
Yep.
That's super cool.
I actually have a picture I have a picture of me and Eagle and my youngest daughter from the first time that I met Eagle, which would have been at the second Cannabis Cup. Yeah, I think it's on your page too. You know, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's funny because both these guys were an inspiration to me early on, because I just liked the way that they were approachable. You know, because sometimes in the past you hear the opposite. Sometimes you hear about how people in the community aren't approachable, and they can be, you know, they don't want to talk, or they don't want to share information, or they don't really like people, which is cool, man. Cannabis is for everybody, not just, you know, one certain type. But it's really nice when you can find somebody that you can use as like a long distance mentor and shoot information by and ask questions of and shit, which these guys have always been cool with.
How cool, speaking of that day, how cool was it to hear from Hickory Tree Farms Priorities? I said that one wrong too. But to catch up and hear his story the other day, he's a cool guy, man. I have been following that cat since that day. And I love the lifestyle, man. He does it at his own. I watched him butcher his fucking own meat and shit. And fucking, ain't that the lifestyle though? I mean, when you can do it all yourself, be that subsistent. God damn this fucking dude. self-sufficient. I'm not even doing it again. Where you can do it all yourself. Wood. I cut trees. I was a tree surgeon for a while. I split tons and tons and tons of firewood. But this last winter, I was watching him fucking do his thing, cut some trees down, drag them around with his tractor. And that firewood tip there he offered up was just genius in my book. What he does was he puts a log up there and he kind of like loosely puts a bungee around the log. So when you fucking hit that thing, it doesn't like split and go flying off. Well, the bungee keeps it together. So you can just, whack at it and just, split it several times without having to bend over and pick up every piece. And then if the piece is just appropriate enough, then that's all you really need to drag in the house for a little while. So you can chop it all up and just grab that bungee and fucking drag it, right in the house with you. And I thought, man, that is a great idea, man. That is just saving so much bending over. But he was a cool guy to get to know. Go ahead, Red Center.
No, I was gonna say it's hilarious that you bring up chopping wood, man. I was chopping wood earlier today because our power could have. I have a furnace, but our power could have gone out. But fortunately, I do have a wood burning fireplace and a stack of logs. So I was out there chopping them up, and then about 2 hours later, my furnace died, dude. I got it figured out, hopefully, but my furnace died. And so I spent all day having to fix that. It was just it was the most weird coincidence. I was like, well, if I can't get my furnace fixed, at least I have a whole bunch of wood already chopped. I'll be able to use that. If I had a bungee cord, I would have known I could have used a bungee cord and tied it up and walked in the house.
I love fucking chopping wood. It's a dirty secret. I could fucking split that shit with a fucking splitter, but I actually just love swinging that ass.
A wedge?
I do too, dude.
Yeah, the old red wedges and shit. Did you see Aldridge 25's comment up above Eagle where he says congrats? No.
I did not.
He says, congrats, Eagle. I stay up late. Love that there has been more content live lately at all times of the day. Great job, everyone. Thanks, Aldridge 25.
Oh, man. Thank you very much. That's
I can't let these go by without sharing them with you because, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to see the real-time love that you get in your chat.
It's a little harder when you get multiple guests to keep an eye on you guys and then watch the chat. It's easier when it's like one-on-one. I can have one eye on the guests and one eye on the chat. But you got four in the box here. It's harder to watch the chat.
I've been sitting here getting lost in it.
I feel like it's having somebody that's juggling bowling pins and somebody who's got a hula hoop. And somebody else is like a fire eater. And you're supposed to be like playing the job of the lifeguard watching the chat.
You're trying to do all of it at once.
Oh, I gotta say, you guys make it look pretty fucking easy. You do. I appreciate the fucking showing up on Sundays, rolling in at fucking into the room of 8:45 and just fucking sliding in and plugging in the camera and fucking. There's a lot to be said. I missed, that's nice. You guys did all the work. There's a lot of work that goes behind this shit and a lot of clicking of the buttons that, you don't see to make sure things are kind of flowing right.
Definitely a shout out to Sequence and Abolished. Abolished more for the content that gets put out on the channels as far as the videos go and the cutscenes and all the funny shit. And Sequence more for being the one to orchestrate how to stream and how we're going to do things and the logistics and stuff like that. So definitely two workhorses, and the show wouldn't be what it was without them.
That's what makes the team great is everybody, other people in the team picking up where the weaknesses lie, and if everybody can, pick up where there's a weakness, then that makes a fucking super ass team. You know what I mean? Sure. And that's what obviously it's been the key to your guys' success over there is fucking great teamwork. So much hats to you guys, man. I've loved watching you guys grow this whole last year. It's been fun being a part of it. That's for sure.
We definitely don't feel as awkward now.
I've been part of quite a few different like streaming or YouTuber shows and whatnot. And I have to say, Skillbo and Sequence put together one of the best systems ever for that type of thing where like nobody really like everybody's got to say it's a council rather than one head person, and it's been nice. It's been great. Everybody works together as a team. You know, when you have 8 people putting out content all the time, you know, on the same channel, like it's pretty amazing what you can do.
Shit, that's why I kind of haven't tried to flip this shit to you guys, man. You guys got a fucking ton going on over there with what you got going on. I can't imagine trying to flip these 5-hour shows in your lap about. That would be a editing nightmare, I'm sure.
No, you know what I like? I like the fact that you're offering this, because let's say that there's somebody in this chat that's really been turned off every time that I've opened my mouth on here. I am really glad, and I got to get off your show for it, but to make the point, I'm really glad that they have the opportunity to interact with the same basic people in the chat that you see on all of these shows, where they can listen in and stuff like that, because maybe they have a bigger connection with you than they do with me. Maybe they like the certain people that are in this chat, whatever. It's like, you know what I mean? It's their community as much as it's ours. So as many different umbrellas or bus shelters as we can all jump up underneath and kick it and burn one. That's how we got to do it.
And I mean, we're all working together. Like the dream would be is, you know, we have a week-long schedule of all the different shows and whatnot. Even, you know, not just stuff that's coming from us. You know, the other VTubers out there, like the Grow to, Embracing Organics, Do Grow Show, the Bubble Man. I hope I don't miss any of the other big ones. But, you know, just all these shows working together to give a solid schedule, you know, for everybody out there. I think it would be great. And I love what you're doing, Eagle. You're bringing in the slot that Rest in Peace Subcool always did for us. You know, the late night live thing, or just live in the middle of the day, you know, just doing whatever. You know, that was cool. We don't have that no more.
Eagle has always been that,
funny?
though, even back in the Instagram days, though, because Eagle would go live on Instagram at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and just stay on there doing exactly this same show, but just on Instagram, right? You never know how long it's going to be. Yeah. You know, it's awesome.
Pretty much without the guests, yeah. And you know what? You know how that started was the Mist for Subcool, and he was still with us back then, because you would notice there the live streams were only through the bad times. If you look back through Subcool's life, the hard times were the late nights. When Miss Jill, he had problems with Miss Jill on the hill there, the late nights. When all through the after that, late nights, when the girlfriends would pop up, like the last young girl, no more late streams. Miss Jill came back around on the mountaintops there for a while, no more late streams. And then she joined in for a little while, then no more late streams. And I would always be fucking bitching at him. I'm glad, you know, everything's going good for you, but motherfucker, we miss these fucking late streams and shit. Ain't nowhere for us to gather and shit. We nerds miss each other. Miss you, motherfucker. You know, and that would be a common message from me a lot, because, you know, we miss it. I miss them late night talks. That's when I would get to talk to him. Even if it wasn't the late night chats, that's when I would talk to him, was like 1 to 3. So I guess, yeah, in a way, this is my way of filling that void, for sure.
There's always been an audience at whatever time of day, man. If you've got content, there'll be people to consume it.
Yeah, a lot of people work like all day long and enjoy having some fresh content to even not even say watch, but listen to in the background. They really appreciate this stuff.
Shout out to whoever out there is trimming to this right now. I hope that your harvest has been bountiful and your herb is sweet.
Yeah, to all the undercarriage lollipoppers, bedroom sweepers, whole nine, man.
Bedroom sweepers.
I got you.
The dude in his girl stressing out because he just found spider mites. Shout out to you.
Dry room, stem sweepers. Yep.
We got to shout out the
Spider mites,
hash sifters, bag processors, squishers.
dude. The list just keeps going on. Cloners, propagators. I love it. I love it. There's so many
Extractors
in the workforce, and the artists. The
tincture
artist community is
makers.
huge.
guy at the gas station that sells me my papers.
Yeah, shout out to you, brother. You know what's up.
Shout out to whatever you're using to listen to it. Watch it.
Dude, are we just vibing and vamping along here, Eagle? You're just like, I don't know if his microphone's locked him out again, and he's just like, holy fucking shit, would you two shut the fuck up with this, man? God damn.
Damn it, I think he's frozen.
He is frozen,
He's
but he
either
has a
frozen or-
disappointed look on his
No.
face. Like,
Don't do it.
you
Don't
guys do it.
stick. We're staying right here. Bring
He
it
might
on
have
home.
Meditation.
Chat.
We were talking about meditation the other day. I think he figured it out. That's
Oh,
what
hey, I want to give a shout out to the American one. He had a great talking shit sesh here with Eagle, man. Shout out to you, American one. I had respect for you before I'd listened to that, but after that, dude, appreciate you, man.
So, yeah, shout out to Teo, man. Sorry, I've still not ran Godiva or Amy Aces. I have a nice stock of those because you've been generous over the years, and I will run those one day. Your
You have
Amy
to listen.
Aces gets amazing reviews from everybody I see grow it.
And I mentioned that we had talked about it because I had done the show with Eagle before that. And he and I were talking, and I said, hey, man, when you get a chance, if you're talking to Tao, ask him to talk about that Amy Aces for me because, you know, and so he goes through and it's a big stacker. She's good weight. You know, everybody likes it. So I'm checking the chat while I'm doing that. Uh-oh. You can blame it all on me. Sorry. Baby, come back. Eagle, come back. We
Shout
can
out
blame
to-
it all on Frontier. Is that who we can blame it on? Oh, he's back.
Oh, yeah, he's back.
Hey, I
Yes.
sang it back into existence.
What?
Come on, Eagle.
There.
We
Oh
got it.
yeah.
Yes, he is. He's back. See, positivity. We got
Don't
it.
tease me now.
Eagle, you were lost in
You, sir.
meditation there for a moment.
We got him. Abolished Farm seems to have 5 years worth of stuff still to grow.
Yeah, my list is pretty long. But like I said, that was it. The Keweenaw copper and the lamb's bread that we talked about earlier, that's getting up there.
Welcome back. I seen him moving. Yeah, that lamb spread is supposed to be like a land racy Jamaican that has been around. Wasn't that a
Well,
Bob Marley strain?
That and it's what Philos based their original Geno hunt off, or Pheno hunt, or whatever. They're saying that's the original strain. Like I'm not saying that, but what their scientists and them say. So I'm really looking forward to growing that, or anything crossed to it.
Well, I have 3 things that I've got popped. I was saying earlier that I have the Winnie that I got off of Eagle, and I think Abolish, you have those too because you were at the cup with us, but Red, you weren't. The Winnie is a cross between Cindy 99 and Durban Poison, and Eagle has told me that it was a North Star genetic, so it's actually part of the parentage for Eagle's first creation, which he calls Beautiful Loser. And there he is. Speak of the Eagle, and he will return. Welcome back, brother. Muted.
I want to try some of these new strains that Eagle's got, like that beautiful loser.
Dude, I want that. I'm telling you.
It's
I smoked
unlocked.
that.
Can you hear
That
me?
does sound good.
I got you, brother. I told you we'd bring you through these troubling
There it is.
times. Welcome back.
Gizmo.
I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave my mic on my fucking muted because
leave
I've
it
been
open.
listening the whole time, but computer's been fucking chirping out, not doing shit. Definitely need more RAM. Definitely need more RAM.
But you heard all the good
Charlie's
things.
Farm, I know. Yes, I did. I just want to say, Charlie's Farm, you wanted in, but we were just lagging so bad at the point that I didn't want to risk freezing up any worse than it was.
You can sub
So
out, bro.
next time, buddy.
Here, my joint is
No,
gone.
We're good. Well, we're good. We're good. We're good. There's next time. You can jump in tomorrow night.
Right.
Hello? Who's here? Anybody here?
We are here. Baby, come back.
You know, my daughter knocked on the door and was like, you know, you're fucking froze on TV. And I was like, She's like, they're talking still, though. I'm like, I know, I'm fucking froze. I can't do anything.
Well, that's the thing you want your people to know is that if your channel does freeze, that typically if they just wait, you know what I mean, you'll be back. You know, don't dump it yet. Sometimes people get frustrated, they want to dump the screen, but they don't realize that they're dumping the whole chat out the window too. So
yeah, and I'll tell you
there.
what, check back on his channel too, because if it sometimes it does, like the whole thing will crash and fall. He and I, that happened to us a couple of times, 2 or 3 times one night. We were taking it long and it crashed a couple of times, and finally we did stay off, but we came back twice, I think. So check
Yes.
back if it happens. Like go to a separate page, close out new chat and everything.
That was a good night, though. They really missed out on some heavy chat there.
And the Spartan
we
Drone
didn't
episode.
check back in.
Eagle, you and I sat up and talked till like 5 in the morning or some shit, like 2 hours or 3 hours after that shit died. I mean,
I think it was honestly closer to 6.
Dude,
Yeah,
what's your
was.
timer?
Yeah, that would have definitely
It
been.
was.
What's your timer at right now?
Roughly going.
Because we've been on we've been on here for an hour and 5 minutes is what I've been on here for.
Shit.
So, and that's after
The
we
other
just
one,
did.
I had one the other night. 5 hours and 10 minutes it went on. 5 hours and 10 minutes.
I thought we've been on 2.5 bowls and a packer so far. I'm on half time.
Dude, I have no idea how many whatever. I'm good. I'm right here at the end of this. I'm thinking about going and grabbing some kind of delectables, digging into that shit, and then cashing out. But I really just wanted to come on here, show my support for you. And like I said, I told everybody over in the late session to come over here. So I hope that somebody came over that was checking out our show who hasn't seen yours yet, and definitely dropped a subscribe. So on that note, fellas, I think I'm going to bounce. Chat, thank you. I'm glad for everybody letting me be here. I hate crashing the scene all the time because I feel like I wear out my welcome. But I am Skilbo1 on Instagram, Skilbo17 on here. You can find me Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Michigan Bros Bro Show channel for the Bro Show Live. Or you can also, again, at 11 o'clock on Monday nights live on the Late Sesh. Later.
You
Sounds Skibbo.
You're welcome here, Skibbo. You're always welcome, brother. Always welcome. God damn this computer. You guys still there?
Yeah, I'm still kicking.
I'm
All
checking
right.
in, yes. I mean, my
Nice.
physical appearance is still here. Slowing down slowly, Eagle. Slowing down slowly here.
Boxes are moving now. Boxes are moving. All right. Yeah, I definitely got to get me some RAM.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's the thing about these laptops these days. I haven't cracked one open in a while. Now, it used to be easy as shit just to drop some RAM into them things. I don't know if it's so new. I don't know if I want to take it apart yet.
yeah, I wouldn't. I
Should
mean,
be a way to look it up online to see if it's capable of more RAM, right?
most of the time they're so tightly packed in there, it's hard to nowadays. That, and if you want to keep using it, like if there's any kind of warranty on it, you void it right away when you crack it open too. So I'd probably look into getting a desktop or something like that. I don't know, he froze up on us.
Am I froze again? I can hear you guys.
Oh, we can hear you clear.
So-
Your screen's just froze.
Guys, nobody wants to look at that ugly mug anyway.
Well, at least it's froze on you smiling this time. Last time it was froze on you like with your eyes closed and head kind of down and just kind of looked like you were sitting there sleeping.
Oh, rats.
But yeah, dude, you got a nice little happy grin on your face. You look like everything's doing good. So
I'll take that. I'll take that.
The audio sounds fine. So yeah, I mean, it just looks like you got an avatar picture up. So you're good.
So instead of slaughtering his name, I like to call him Haggard, or I'm slaughtering that now, Haggard. Damn, I cannot think of it now. From Harry Potter, anyways, his icon looks like that squirrel. He asked, have any of you grown plants that have cried drops of sap from the bud? And yeah, I've seen that even in my OG sometimes. It's just, I say it's high, it's because you're running high bricks.
I've seen it
personally,
too.
but I've always wanted to see it.
I've seen it, and I've always thought, what should I smoke that? It's been, I knew it had to be, a large amount of something good, but I've always wanted to smoke it. Just fucking, yeah.
I smoked it. I
I've
gotta be
seen it.
honest.
Yeah.
I put it right on there. I mean, I don't think I noticed anything different because I don't really remember a taste or anything. But yeah, I smoked it.
Nice. Hey, did you catch the other night abolished on the B-Man or the Hickory Tree farm episode there? We were discussing edibles and stuff like that, what he did with his trim, and I told him about your Kool-Aid there, and he absolutely, and told him that you used his honey to sweeten that shit with, and he got such a kick out of that shit, and he loved the idea. He said, man, I'm not only going to try that one day here, the next time I make hash, I'm going to make some of that. I'm going to sweeten it with the honey, just like he said. But he also said he was going to make I don't know if you drink kombucha at all, but he said some June is what it's called. He said it's more like a better probiotic in it, and it was a better cure-all. He was going to make some medicated June of that, and I was like, ooh, I want to come down and hang out for both your experiments if you don't mind. But yeah, he was really impressed with the Kool-Aid idea, so hats off. And I didn't take any credit for it, man. That was all. I was like, man, fucking, he brought it to Detroit. Everybody loved it. He put your honey in there as a sweetener. It's fucking delicious. And yeah, because I remember he dropped you off that day at Kushstock too. And he was a super great dude, man. But I just wanted to point out there, though, he did love your Kool-Aid idea, and he said he was most definitely gonna try some of that.
Nice. Well, like I said, if he needs any guinea pigs or tests, I'm there, and I'll gladly share. I've improved the recipe since then. I've picked up within like the last, let's say, month and a half. I figured out a really, really cool trick to it, to where I've made it even more potent. So look out for that at the next event.
Nice.
I'm excited to try that. Sounds good. Your lemonades are delicious.
There we go. Brought fucking chat up on my phone, so now I can keep up on chat. I gave up on it on my computer.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering if it isn't just getting hot. Could be a thing, right?
That's totally a thing on the laptop, definitely.
Maybe I should. I don't think. Yeah, right there under the keyboard, it's hot as fuck.
Blow a little fan.
Maybe I could pick it up. Maybe put a couple something up under the laptop. A couple dab containers. You know what I mean? Where you get your fucking your wax and shit, and set it up on like 4 legs on that.
Yeah, there you go.
Cooling area.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Try a little cooling space. Put it on a milk crate. That's got a lot of air holes.
Right out.
I like your little.
That's a possibility.
Five.
Because it runs fine up in. runs fine up until like, you know, a certain point. I think that's a possibility that it's getting hot. Just brainstorming fucking on the air. Yeah. Just start just lightly blowing hits out of it in between fucking chats.
Every hit, just blow your head. Take some cannabis smoke, computer.
Feel your pain, man. I was just on a potato, like I said, 3 months ago. That computer I used from high school, which was 2004, until 3 months ago, and I literally only upgraded the graphics card on it once. So yeah, I know all about doing this stuff on a potato. It can be rough.
You know, this is what stepped it up. Everybody noticed when I was able to talk and shit, and I wasn't dropping out on the Bros Grow show there. It was this laptop. I stepped up from the one that's sitting right next to it that was older than fuck. So I'd stepped it up to this, and now obviously I didn't step it up far enough. So you're right. I've got a couple of fucking towers in there that I could probably revamp, but I don't know. It's probably just easier to go buy a new one, I think, than to go start fucking buying parts for that old bitch. Probably get better parts just to get from the get-go, I guess. That might be a thing. Just go get a fucking...
If you know how to build computers, you can do it really, really save. I wouldn't say super cheap, but you can save yourself a lot of money. You know, build a new high-end one.
The thing I'd have to get an operating system. I don't have any copies of like Windows 10 or anything laying around, so I'd have to go get something new right off the bat, which isn't cheap. That's what I'm thinking. It might be save me a little bit to just get an operating system in it. That was my thought.
Yeah, I don't know shit about computers except how to do the programs that I'm able to download onto the computers. I don't know anything about programming or building, or I know a little bit about memory, you know, that's about it. Not even that I know anything about the memory, just I know that the bigger number is more storage. Pretty the common sense part about it.
I'm a nerd.
Mr.
Talk
Boss
about it.
No, I mean, Mr. Boss Farms said he'd give me some advice.
We'll definitely have to one of these times when we're not live or whatever, so we don't bore them to death. We'll definitely sit down and have to troubleshoot and see if we can just work with what you got, because we should be able to. I got a couple fixes I want you to try.
I appreciate the tips. Yeah, it's fucking been a good night. I get to harvest now that I can talk. Yeah, I got to harvest some of that fucking beautiful loser here. Probably later tonight. It's ready to get chopping. Got to clear out them LED tents and keep them all scrubbed down, refilled with these girls behind me that are fucking, as you can see, way too fucking big. Gonna have to do a little super cropping or low stress staining. Oh, Bolish, this is what I wanted to point out. Mike was locked up when. Yeah, these girls right here behind me. Yeah. What Sonya was saying about mites and shit was, and I had never heard this. You know, I had heard mixing diametric earth on top of soil and shit for predators and shit. But she was suggesting mix it in with your cocoa to avoid predators as well. I'd never heard that, but she said it worked very well. And I forget what, I'll have to go back. There was one other benefit to it as well as predators. I like to go back and listen, because I found a lot of times in these interviews that what I'm guilty of, because they're live, is I'm listening, but I've got my mind in another place, trying to fill that dead spot in case they stop talking. I'm trying to stay a step ahead, so I'm guilty of missing a few things here and there. So I like to go back and rip through them on 2X to miss anything that I may have missed. But she was loaded with good tips. I'm trying to think of. Oh, I asked her about the soap nuts because she was referring to. Again, mentioned you a little bit there, but I don't think I threw out your name. But I did mention that I had a buddy that used soap nuts, and because she was saying, back in the old school Russia, her parents used soap nuts for PM and shit, and as a pest deterrent. But they use just hard chunks of ivory soap, which I found that is pretty much the same thing as soap nuts, and a little bit of baking soda was their mix. And I think she said the pH to about close to 12 or some shit like that. But I could be wrong. I have to listen
Holy
to
shit.
get great facts.
It totally makes sense because I got the soap nut just being a sapodin from Galactimus Coup, and he's been around forever. He's a straight up OG. And then on the diatomaceous earth, the other thing was I actually wrote that stuff off a while ago because I mean, until Bad Bunny brought something up to me, now I think it's really good. Because when you use it for IPM on the top, like once you get it wet one time, it's basically useless. But what I found out, because Bad Bunny's putting it in their new bloom formula, is it actually helps with nutrient uptake too, which I thought was cool. So if it's an IPM in the soil and nutrient uptake, hell yeah, mix that in.
Yeah, you should go back and listen to it. She had a great story about where she came from, but she laid down a bunch of great tips. I mean, she had great tips on trimming, and then she had good tips on some lab work, and we talked about molds, and she had some good recipes for that. But I had asked her because she dropped the soap and the baking soda thing first. She's like, "Yeah, this is like old Russia, old world style, but I don't suggest this." And then she went on. She gave another remedy. I think it was for PM and whatnot. And so I let her go on, and then I came back. I'm like, okay, so this is what the old schools. You said it worked great and everything. So is there a reason why you shouldn't use soap nuts or on cannabis or anything like that? She's like, no. I just so old school. And that's when I brought you up. Well, I'm like, well. I know a guy that is you currently using soap nuts. And, it kind of sparked her interest and reignited the conversation a little bit. So
Abolished with
I
the
appreciate
old
you
soul
bringing that
over there.
bringing that tech
Really,
back to the knowledge,
I'll-
showing everybody the soap nut technique.
I really do. I try
Cool.
to listen to my elders in the industry. I always have. Like I want to hear the old school techniques because the more I grow, it seems like going back to the original ways is the way. Mandalorian, this is the way.
Well, I wanted to try them for my outdoor this year if I had any issues. Because I don't want to use Botanigard out in my outdoor. I don't want to kill whatever living nematodes and other beneficials that I have going. I don't want to kill there's going to be beneficials. And so I'm going to need to find something that's not like too harsh, it's something that's more of a deterrent.
Well, you want to, with the soap nut, you just got, if you're using it to deter or to destroy things that are susceptible to being a sapodin or an enzyme. So if an enzyme or a soap's not going to work on it, you're going to need to mix it up.
Yeah, I was thinking as like a putting it on the plants and stuff. It will act as a repellent to keep bugs off of the plants, or
yeah, because you can basically spray it as much as you want. It's so cheap, you literally could spray it all day long if you wanted to. But I would imagine the enzymatic part of it will be done within a day. And the soap will take probably another day or two to get off there. But you could spray the hell out of that stuff. 2 nuts in a sprayer lasts forever.
Cool. Yeah, I was
My screen froze on me laughing, and it was nothing about the conversation that was going on. It was more or less the coincidence. I went to look down to see how many people were still watching, which that number would be 37 cool ass people still watching us talk right now.
awesome.
As I look down, my McGaffey pops up. It says my subscription's running out tomorrow, and I just can't help but wonder if that's part of the freeze ups and shit. And if it is, do I want to go back to them as my defense? Because it's been kind of shoddy if that has anything to do with it. I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm having these troubles, and my security pops up. You're running out in hours. Oh, yeah. Are you showing cracks, McGaffey? Is that what's going on here? Just because time's running out on my free subscription, I'm starting to get bombarded by bullshit.
Then a couple slip through to make sure you know that you need them.
That's kind of what I'm thinking of, boss. That's
Fake
kind of what I'm
pop-ups.
thinking.
Fake pop-ups. Check your pop-up
Fuckers.
blocker. Check your pop-up blocker. That's all that is.
That's why I was laughing. I didn't want you guys to think I was laughing at what you guys were saying. I was just laughing at the fucking coincidence. Oh, you.
But yeah, Red, the soap nuts, definitely throw those in there if you want. I'd also, if you're gonna try, if that's the only thing you can think of to stay natural out there, rotate your essential oils with them because they'll mix fine with it. You know, do mint 1 week, do lavender another week, just rotate it, and it'll keep any kind of pest, confused.
I've never really sprayed anything out there, so I'm curious. I've always just done just co-planting and stuff. So, but I mean, I've had aphids and shit on my plants. Shake them off, spray them with the hose. Life goes on out there. You get caterpillars, you pick them off. You get moths, you shake them out. I don't know. I've never sprayed anything outside, so I'm curious. Curious about it. Curious about trying it.
It'll be a boost too. Like spray the hell out of them because you want it to run off down into your soil, so you get that sapping effect, on all your nutrients down there. Keep stuff from binding up and candy coat and others for your microbes to go after. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I like the idea behind it. Ever since I tuned in the first time, I don't know, man, almost a year ago, I think you were talking about soap nuts probably on the Bro Show live podcast that was like episode 1? Episode 1, dude. Is that what it was? You talked about soap nuts in that, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been on a soap nut bandwagon for quite some years. Yeah. Any of the first cannabis they've smoked, that was definitely was sprayed with that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while. I should have started using it last year, but I just never, I don't like sourcing stuff, man.
It's a weird concept to wrap your
super frugal or whatever, but I hate sourcing stuff. I go for like the bare necessities, and then everything else that I don't think I really need, I just don't get. I should try that out. I mean, I should try other things out. I guess so. Just kind of I don't want to say set in my ways. I get frugal on things, I just get kind of set in just utilizing what I have in my surroundings so often.
And the soap nut's like a weird thing to kind of wrap your head around, even if you've grown for a few years. Like, how am I putting just 2 nuts in my 1 gallon sprayer and this thing is lasting me weeks? And this is protecting my plants and doing the same thing that some of these $100, a gallon products that I've been getting does. It's cool.
Yeah, it definitely sounds best bang for budget for sure. You back there, Eagle? No? Hey, maybe? You're looking down on this one.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Am I here?
AEIOU.
Am I gone?
Why sometimes?
Am I here? Yes.
Yes.
I don't know.
Can you hear us? Oh, now you can't hear us. Now it's backwards.
You guys.
Oh, you can.
I've been able to hear you guys the whole time. I just can't fucking say anything. Or I wouldn't. It locked up. This is a science experiment on the air. I fucking I put some dab things underneath the fucking laptop, see if it'll cool off, and see if I'm gonna get some control back.
Somebody suggested put a little clip fan. You got a little cheap clip fan laying around in your storage supplies or something? pop on there, or a you got a little battery operated Cedar Point fan you like use to blow yourself off. Pop that
Yeah, I seen them ask how many windows I had open. I only have Zoom and fucking a window open watching the chat, and even at that, the video's paused on that. And,
I
nothing.
think
It's all froze up right now.
so. Are you hardwired into your laptop, or are you wireless right now?
Wireless.
Okay, so where is your wireless mode or router located? It's sending your signal throughout the house. Is it elevated or is it on the ground?
It's somewhat elevated. It's probably about 4 feet off, and it's probably going through 2 walls, and it's probably about 20 feet away.
Would
The
it
walls-
happen to be? Here's my question: would it happen to be behind you somewhere in the house? Like, would the signal be going over top of those high pressure sodium, not just the bulbs, but the cord that goes to your ballast? Because you're gonna be getting some kind of an interference signal coming off of those wires.
Oh, I agree.
Well,
Well, it would be that shit's behind me, and the modem would be in front of me. But
The
I'm
wall-
thinking, would I be better off to just try to fucking, for an experiment, run a hardwire to this bitch and see if that's part of the problem?
yeah, definitely. That I know that even if it wasn't part of the problem, it'll improve your performance right now if you're hardwired in. Because like the thing with Wi-Fi is it's a heavier signal, so the walls are fine. It'll pass through the wall fine. It's the fact that if it's raised up, it's got to do like a waterfall effect. It's kind of like water. It's going across the ground. So just always put your Wi-Fi or your modems on the ground for that. Makes for a more consistent
frequencies
signal
or
across the room.
signals flying around.
So everything we just talked about, you guys are obviously nerds just like myself. And did you see Med Grower One's face when I mentioned that about the router being in his room? Because I flat out asked him, I'm like, hey man, since you just put that super powered router in your room, have you noticed any difference in your plants? And he had like this like ghosted look on his face.
No, is it gonna
said,
kill
yeah,
my plants?
because I said, man, there's been tons. I said, in fact, you being a breeder and having somebody that has tons of stock, this would be an excellent experiment for you, because you have a stable environment to start with. Everything's coming from the same mother. All the seeds are the same. You know what I mean? So where these kids could be doing experiments with germination, and the 2 packs could be sorted seeds. They could have maybe even done them out of the same pack. I don't know. But that'd be the best way to go, is for him to take one set of seeds from that same batch, put some next to that router, and so he fucking put some over in his fucking germ room and see which one sprouted and which ones had a hard time. But as soon as I told him that experiment had already existed, what you should do it with your pot seeds, he went, wait a minute, that's a thing? I'm like, yeah, dude, you should fucking look at that. That's, and
I might try that experiment, thinking about it, and then I might try to sprout ones like maybe next to a speaker with some music playing.
He grabbed those pack of seeds or that pack of seeds so quick, Eagle. That was funny.
He did too. I better move this shit. I wouldn't even take a chance, but could be a hocus pocus bullshit.
Yeah, from what I understand, it takes a little more power. It takes like a strong frequency. The router is not going to do anything, but there is some science to it.
Yeah, but you never know. These newer modems, like the one I just got upgraded mine a couple months ago, and now that one's pushing that 5G signal too. And he was bragging about how hot fucking it was, brand new and super powerful. That's why it made me kind of fucking throw that out to him, because they say that if you look into the 5G, it sounds horrible anyway. But yeah, if you've got it right next to something you care about, I don't know if I'd set that shit there. I worked on cell towers there for a minute, I didn't technically work on like say the towers themselves. I just happened to get to know the process. For one, them guys are limited in the amount of time they can be in and around them towers. It's like 4 hours a day. It has to be logged. They have to log which antenna they've been working around, and it's dangerous. Them towers put off some dangerous shit. And I was doing what I noticed when I was you there, Red?
I'm here. I don't see Abolish
Okay, I seen
though.
Abolish dropped out. Yeah, Abolish dropped out. What happened with the towers there was I'd go in and cut them buildings. If you look at every tower, there's a building at the base of it, and we would go in and we'd cut holes in the building and move shit around, put air conditioners in, and I would go in and build a firewall in between the two rooms we were building, which was made out of steel studs. It had to be double 5/8 drywalled and had to have FRP put on that shit. But what I noticed by putting them 10-hour days in at them things, I was doing basically the same fucking thing other places, but the days I had I put in at the towers were just so brutal. And everybody on the crew noticed that shit, man. Tower days were fucking brutal, man. You'd go home, headaches, super exhausted. And then you could go work, do the same thing somewhere else and fucking, go home just fine, normal fucking day. But every tower, we got to the point where we absolutely despised tower days just for that reason. And I was like, no wonder they can't work on these things for, their time's very limited. And it's bad to live within a mile of a tower because of the fucking microwaves some things put out.
Yeah, man, I try to like stand away from my microwave and shit when I'm using it, and I try to limit using it. I try and never use it. I feel like it just kind of kills the nutrition in your food. But every now and then I pop some popcorn or need to heat up some leftovers, so I do use it. I'd rather use
Mr.
my oven,
Abolish,
man.
I don't know what happened.
Where'd you go, Abolish?
I don't know where you went. You're welcome to come back. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but Mr. Abolish, we're gonna miss you if you don't come back.
Well, actually, Eagle, the clock's about to hit 3 a.m. and I think I'm gonna have to jump on out of here just the same. I'm gonna have to put some food in my gut. I'm gonna have to get some Z's, man. I think the HVAC shop opens at like 7 a.m. around me, so I gotta try to get this sensor and make sure everything's up and safe and whatnot. So if not, yeah, I'm sorry, homie. If not, I gotta.
Oh, it's a good time. The computers are obviously fucking overworked tonight, but I appreciate.
Oh yeah, I suppose it might not be a bad time to cool down. Said, man, just blow some more weed smoke at it. So I'll do a quick sign off. That way you can do your thing, man, without any interruption on the signal. I'm Red Setter Farm. You can find me on Instagram mostly at Red Setter Farm. Every now and then I go live on there. I don't know what time. Check it out. If you follow me, hopefully you get an update. And Michigan Bros Grow Show live Sunday nights, Frugal Forest Saturday nights, and Late Sesh Monday nights. And I got a little interview with Eagle, I think episode 4 or something like that with him. So check that out if you want to. Eagle, love your show, man. I'm glad you got a chance to interview Sonya tonight. I'm gonna get back and
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Man, I'm really excited to check it out. As a matter of fact, I would have been in chat kicking it with you guys. We were doing our Late Sesh live. So,
dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to say on the record, I'm sorry about that because I didn't even think about it when I fucking scheduled that shit. And
it's okay. I want you to.
I would have been more than happy to reschedule it so you could have been a part of it. You wanted you to say the word, and I would have been happy to do it.
I'm glad it ran late.
An awesome guest, and
yeah, man. No, I just wanted the scheduling to work out. as long as the scheduling worked out, that's all. Because I was able to pop in at the very end and at least say what's up while she was still on, and everything was cool, man. Everything's great.
It was super good and super
Very
fun.
knowledgeable.
Thank you very much.
Very knowledgeable friend. Cheers to Sonia, man. I'm really glad she got to come on and give you a boost of knowledge, and hopefully give some knowledge to your viewers and everything, man.
She absolutely did. Absolutely did.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Definitely a strong member of the cannabis community right there, for sure. Been around for a while.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun, man. Well, I'm gonna sign out of here, man. Eagle, you have yourself a great night, okay? Cannabis community, peace out, chat. Love everybody. Take care, everyone, okay? Peace out, Eagle.
Thanks, Red. Have a great night, buddy.
You too, man. Later on.
Mr. Red Setter Farms, thank you very much for tuning in and dropping in. Of course, Abolish Farms, I don't know what happened there, but appreciate him dropping in as well. And we cannot forget Skillbo1, Skillbo17 on YouTube. Always a pleasure for him to drop in as well. And we also cannot forget my guest tonight, Sonya. Wait, what? That was fucking a great interview. I appreciated it all the time and the knowledge that she laid down. I want to appreciate all you guys that tune in every night. That number is growing every night. You guys are completely awesome. I want to thank my, I guess pretty much should call them sponsors, My Herbs Now. If you want to use that and check that out, please, myherbsnow.com, promo code EagleGardens1. It gives you free delivery and grow book from the Grow Boss. I believe it's still part of that deal. Generic fertilizers, Active Grow LED. What's up, Charlie? How you doing? I'm so sorry you weren't able to jump in. Once we had 4 of us going, I think it's my computer just heating up, to be honest with you. I didn't want to pull you in because I was afraid it was just going to lock everything up even further. But you're more than welcome to jump in any other night. I'm just completely sorry it wasn't tonight. And so Active Grow LED, of course, everybody over there at the Michigan Bros Grow Show, be checking out their channels and all the great content they are supplying over there. I want to go ahead and shout out tomorrow's guest, Tanaze's Garden, an amazing guy, outstanding gardener, super great character. It's going to be a lot of fun. Please check me out tomorrow, normal time, 11:30. You guys have a great night. As always, do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness, change lives. Don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I've seen it firsthand, and I know how it can. So please let it affect your life, and have a pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.